You know how when you're young and you're playing in the whatever, and your parents are talking about something, and you're like, "Gosh, I never want to be that age where I'm talking about like I just put stones on my driveway," and then you talk about it for 20 minutes. But that's like the stuff we talk about now a lot.
Yeah.
So, um, it wasn't the coconuts. Oh, so I bought this new Tervis tumbler cup, and I've never really had the Tervis tumbler cup before.
That palm tree thing?
Yeah, the palm tree thing. And I was like, man, I love this cup, and it's good, and it doesn't sweat because we're in Florida, and it's like perfect. And of course, I'm overthinking like the amount of sweat that comes off the side of my cup and how long my ice lasts and stuff. So then I was like, at some point, I had this realization. I'm like, why would I buy glasses for my house? Because I'm like planning all this stupid shit for my house because I've never really. This is like going to be my first like real house that I actually like. So I'm planning every little thing, like what I want to put decorations in there and stuff and whatever. So I was like super excited the other day because I realized I had this amazing realization. And I said, I'm going to buy all Tervis tumblers for my cups.
Right.
I'm not going to have glasses. I might have them, but I'm not going to use them very much. Like you have like my glass cup there, but I'm going to have some. But I was thinking, why doesn't everyone just have these cool cups as their cups? So I thought it was super exciting because I'm an idiot. And I told people last week, and they were like, they were not understanding my excitement about it. And then I told them the same thing about planting coconuts. I'm like, yeah, I got these coconuts and I planted them and stuff, and I'm going to try to grow coconut trees. And I was super excited about it, and then no one cared.
Well, there's a whole bunch of things I would want to say, but like, what I would be most curious about is like, if you could think of one of those people or two of those people you were talking to, like, what do you think they would get excited about?
Nothing. That's the thing. And even when
I mean, though, that's kind of extreme. I mean, there's got to be something.
Like, yeah, but nothing like the same thing.
Oh, not to you, but I'm saying, like, that's what I would be interested in. It's like, you got this, like, glimpse of reality, like, where you are in your life versus other people, but, like, the lesson is, what are they into? Like, what should you, quote unquote, be excited to tell them and they're excited to talk back to you with?
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of them, like, I have the benefit of getting excited about stupid stuff that other people don't get excited about. And I think you do too. Like, if you find it something old that you really like, that I'm like, I don't care at all, but you really like it, and it's not something that's hard to attain, that's a benefit to us. Like, I get excited because I just realized I'm going to buy 10 Tervis tumbler cups, and I get happy about it. And other people wouldn't. That's nothing to them. It's harder for them to get happy and excited about things than it is for me to get happy and excited about things.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I'm saying, though, like, is that like desensitization or like what? You know what I mean? Like, so how did you get to make it this far and find joy out of smaller things that are like to me, that's a huge deal because I can sit back for a second and think like, that's something that I will literally look and see and move and wash and drink from every single day of my life.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And like if you told me and I was into drinking muscle milk and pumping weights, I feel like I should still be able to be like, oh damn, you know, that's true, Ryan. And like as I'm driving home that night, be like, you know, like got it. Like I got a little extra thing today. Like I learned, like Ryan showed me in this like animated kid like smile how excited he was about cups. But nonetheless, he like, hey honey, let's get rid of those cups in there we've been, you know, dealing with for the past 20 years or 10 years or whatever the case is. Like, and that leads me right into like, the reason everyone has glasses is because they were like they got them when they bought their parents gave it to them when they bought their first house, or like it was a wedding gift, or like it's some way along lines like you never end up really buying your own glasses. Like yeah, I think
like crystal stemware at your wedding.
Yeah, like, but I mean, like, I think in general, like, we end up with things like dishware. Like, we end up with the recipe for meatloaf. It's like,
Yeah, you just
why didn't we add more garlic? It would be so much tastier. But it's like, well, because we got it from them. And,
yeah.
you know, like, it's just like this.
Well, even you guys don't even have. You guys at your house have tons of not normal glasses.
We got, yeah.
Because you just get them and you're like. But it's like, if you think about it, this is why I was so excited about it. No one does that. No one just says, like, that cup is going to last forever.
Huh.
And it's cool and it works. And we live in Florida, and you put, like, your glass is going to be melted in about 10 minutes.
It's a joke. Yeah.
It's stupid. And I'm like, and I was actually
not only that, it just makes a mess.
Yeah. So, like, when I'm sitting on my computer, like, doing something, and I have a glass with iced coffee or something, 10 minutes later, it's empty, it's all melted, and there's water all over my desk. And I'm like, what? Why would I do that? And then actually, I saw that cup at like Publix or something like that, and I got it, and I didn't realize I have cups kind of like that, but they're all like the travel thermoses and stuff, and I end up not even using them for some reason. And then I was like, and I got that, and it's big because I always like having big glasses. I hate having little ones because I drink I just drink a lot of water and other products, and so I'm like, this is big. I want a big cup. And it doesn't sweat, and it makes my ice last longer. And I'm like, and it looks cool. And I'm like, why do people have glasses in Florida? I don't understand. So that's why I got so excited. I'm like, I'm going to have badass glasses in my house and not have to worry about it anymore. And they're going to be cool. Mm-hmm. But other people don't get excited about little things like that. And I think it is probably desensitization because everything is so easy to get. Like, you don't appreciate anything. It's like the welfare thing. If you get things for free and it's easy, then you don't care about other things that much.
Yeah, I think it's even maybe beyond that. Like, it's like people don't have, like, the desensitization. I feel like I'm saying that word wrong.
Desensitization? No, I think that's right. It's just hard to say.
That process, I think, like, is a problem. But I think the big problem with it is it turns off, like, this part of our brain that is, like, receptive. So it's like, you know, obviously desensitization, it's like, well, I got cups 10 years ago, man. I don't give a crap about cups. I got cups, you know? Mm-hmm. But like the real problem is that if you've been trained that way for so long that it's like you don't even hear. You're not even like conscious of the conversation. Like, to just shut it off, like, to, like, not care, to not say anything. Like, it's almost, like, non-human to just be, like, either to be, like, dude, you're an idiot, you know, like, da-da-da-da-da, or to be, like, you know, I never thought about that, you know? Like, even if I'm just humoring you, it's still, like, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's, like, that's the response that you get the most out of. I guess I feel like people just walk around kind of, like, I'm looking for this, 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 I'm looking for this. And it's like, hey, I listened to this story today. I'm looking for this, I'm looking for, you know, like, and it's a shame.
Yeah, I do. I think it's just that, yeah. And I don't think people care. I mean, I think there's also been this thing where people don't even care about, unless it's something that gives you status that costs more money, for example, like, people would probably rather have a Mercedes than have a Honda Civic. Mm-hmm. But that's not because it's a better car. It's because people look at it and think it's cooler. Mm-hmm. So people have really lost that whole... And it's because of mass production and everything else. People only care about something and if it gives them status. Mm-hmm. They don't really care about the function of it and if it's better quality and if it's going to last longer and all other stuff. It's just a matter of, like, they don't care about those little things. So I think it's good that we can think about those types of things. And be super excited about it.
I mean... I guess it was like a learning curve, you know, where you go through this, like, process part of your life, and you're kind of like, man, like, what the heck? Like, you know, use that word, like popular thinking, or, like, popular way to be. And then, like, I think you get into, like, your 30s or something, and it's just, like, you start, like, having this realization where you're like, gosh, I'm so glad I'm like this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, it's like, And I'm not, clearly one's not above the other, and that's not what we're talking about here. But it's just like, it's so nice when things like that you've kind of like suffered through a little bit, at least just in your own head thinking about and like getting through. And then when like you later take a second and look back and you're like, man, I'm so glad this is how I am, or this is what I'm into, or this is like what matters to me.
Yeah, I think you're even probably more so that way than I am. Like as far as being able to get excited and appreciate things that are not like you could find like something like that's just like an old used thing that looks cool and be super excited about it. Where I don't even have that. Like your dad's the same way. He'll find like an old bike that costs $3 and it's like, okay, I could have. I mean, I guess I could have bought that too. I just don't give a crap. But he'll get in and be like, "Look at this! It's the coolest bike ever!" And like be obsessed with it, which is good because it's nice to be able to friggin' get some enjoyment out of things that aren't hard to get. Whereas everyone else, a lot of people nowadays only, like they would only get that from buying like, some ridiculous thing. Like,
that would be a nightmare. Like
I know.
Thought of that.
Can you imagine being married to a woman that was like, I want a Mercedes because I want a Mercedes. It's $100,000.
It scares the crap out of me. It's and you bring that up, and it's like I have not spent a second thinking about that up until like right now.
About what?
Like just that is like a reality. Like I don't even really know anyone like that. Like because I guess I have tentacles that kind of are like, oh, stay away from this. But it's like. It's true. It's so
know
weird.
Anyone as far as those super shallow people, or
I like yeah. I mean, not even label it that way. Just like I like people that like it reminds me of like a drug addict. It's like yeah, I started doing cocaine, but now I got to do like heroin, black tar out of a spoon. Like they just. I wonder how much of that is conditioning from like childhood.
I think I don't know if it's from childhood. Well, it probably is from childhood, but I think it's
because
the business is just learning how to brainwash everyone into saying what you want.
I mean, are they like the biggest suckers in the world? Is that?
No,
what
I think
is?
it's the majority of people. I think we even have the same problem.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, so one route would be like you're 4 years old and you're getting horses and this and that, and you get a brand new F-250 when you turn 16 and whatever. Like it's that rep path, or is it the path of like the sucker where they literally like see commercials, they watch shows, they hear conversations, and it's like that I have to have, like that's how I have to live.
Oh, for sure, that's part of it.
So like, isn't it either one or the other? Like one is like I'd call the silver spoon, and then the other one is like their credit cards are maxed out.
Oh gosh, we could talk about that too.
But do you get what I'm saying
Yeah.
though? Like the one like can justifiably like they've been trained into the culture. The other one, are they just the sucker?
The other one are trying to do that where they can't do
that.
Right,
they didn't even get a pony when they were little.
But they want to have.
But they got old enough to see credit cards and shows and things, and now they have to live that life.
Yeah, I think it's either you're born that way and you have that money and your family's like that, and it is what it is. You have those things, and then you get a crazy job because you have connections or whatever, and you just live that way. And the other ones never had it, so then they force them. They have their ways to have it. That's like there's people that I know that are personally that are back home, back in New York, that have no business getting the things that they're getting, but they're like, hey, look at my brand new car. It's got a BMW 5 Series. And I'm like, didn't you just buy a house and you couldn't even barely afford the house? And they're like, yeah, but we got our FHA loan with 0% down and a 7% interest rate. And they're like 2 months ago were asking me how they can afford their bills and stuff, and now they're like, hey, look at this new car we just got. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much is that? Oh, it's $1,000 a month. I'm like, oh, another mortgage payment. And then that's why no one has any money. Like, probably you, me, and our families are the only people that I really know that have actual positive net worth. Because people make exactly what they make and they pay out.
Yeah.
They have more bills than they make, so then they have credit cards, and they
which
literally have negative money.
Which is exactly what the system wants.
Oh, for sure. And that's consumerism is like the biggest thing because businesses have learned back in the 50s and 60s, people were not going out and buying cars worth more than their house or having payments for cars when they couldn't afford their house payment. They just knew that that wasn't an option because there wasn't a social net, safety net to back. Like in the worst case scenario, back then you were screwed. Now it's like, well, and it's not even like people that I know that are going to go on welfare. It's just the fact that it's ingrained in us that even if they're not technically going to go on social welfare programs or whatever, they just know that it's like in our culture now, it's like there's no accountability for yourself because you know that at some point you're going to get an excuse or something like that, or they'll just go bankrupt, or they'll just have to get unemployment or something like that. There's no accountability for what they have to do because there's no risk. Yeah. It's like school. It's like school loans. People have $100,000 in school loans.
Well, do you know that I honestly thought about that for a while because I have friends and people I know and various levels of like spending outside of their means kind of thing. And I've played devil's advocate with that so many times, like even just into like justifying even some relationships even. And if you play devil's advocate enough about it, you can really start like brainwashing yourself into thinking that's the best route to go to live the best life.
What? Just going to debt?
Just go to town. Like,
well, yeah, until it comes due.
Right, but I mean, in a reality, like, have we not all been, audience to bailouts and like these huge, like no one's in jail, I know, for it. No one's living in a cardboard box that I know that did it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like on this like playing cards deck of, a house, and it's like, yeah, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And the only thing that kept it going was where like your neighbor would be like, you're a dirtbag, and like all your friends would not be your friends anymore. Like, like that's like how culture used to keep everyone in line. Right. And then once like that kind of went down, people would like brag about it or like even just openly be like, yeah, we're leaving our house, or can you believe, we're paying on our house for, $300,000 and it's only assessed at $100, like in those kind of things. And you're like, do you talk to enough people that bob their head and go, oh yeah, I don't blame you. Like, yeah, I can't believe that. And because like to me, I'm looking at you going, you're an idiot. Yeah. You bought a $300,000 house. It doesn't matter what someone tells you it's worth. You bought it for $300,000. What, you think because now it's not worth $300,000 that someone should give you money back or something?
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like, what the freak? Like,
yeah, stay in the house.
It's insane, but they literally, I knew multiple people that was their MO. It was like, reality was they bought a house way above their means. They realized our life is going to suck. And then they caught the coronavirus wave, metaphorically speaking, where there was a good excuse that came everyone's way with the, economy bust several years ago. And the housing market and all those things fell through the floor. And everyone was like, it's our chance to get out from this ball and chain. And they dumped their houses.
But I don't understand. How is it I don't understand that. You still owe the money.
No, you get pardoned of it.
Why do you get pardoned of it?
So, like, some of the stuff would be, like, they would owe, say they had, like, $300,000 house. They would basically be like, hey, bank, we're not going to be able to pay this house anymore. Mm-hmm. And the bank would adjust. And then they'd be like, oh, we can't pay this more. And then they would adjust. Adjust
as far as, okay, then you only owe us $200,000 now?
Either they'd try to throw the long run and turn it into a longer mortgage, or else, they would turn it in. Like, have you ever heard the stories where someone's like, man, I had like $30 in credit card debt, and I called them and they made up a plan and I only have to pay back $15,000.
Oh yeah, like the commercials, yeah.
No, like that's real.
Yeah. They like debt forgiveness stuff.
Yeah, so like you could call a credit card and there's like a process they'll put you through. Well, it's similar. I don't know enough to be an expert or say anything more about what exactly happened back then, but in the process of bankruptcy, like you are alleviated, I
Oh,
guess.
right. Yeah, if you go bankrupt, you can lose your debts, but then you're screwed.
But you're not anymore.
Well, you can't get like loans and stuff after you go bankrupt.
But there's like these processes and like things and like there's actually like counselors and coaches and like they did it under their wife and so they can do it, or
Oh,
they
right.
did it under their husband. Like there's just all kinds of crazy things that you just be like, like how the hell did you pull that off? And now they have a mortgage on another house now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I was looking into the whole mortgage crisis because I watched like the parts of The Big Short a couple weeks ago. I watched like every clip on YouTube of The Big Short, which is like just the important parts. And the shit that they were saying about, the reason that it happened was because mortgage companies realized they could give these people that have no business having mortgages, give them ridiculous rates, and then immediately sell the loan to another bank under false pretenses that they're getting good loans.
Yeah, but the other thing too, because that movie's phenomenal, but the other thing too was the adjustable mortgage,
Right.
adjustable rates.
Right, because they were taking advantage of people that had no idea. These are low income people that don't know anything about money and definitely don't know anything about mortgage, like maturing mortgages and adjustable rate mortgages, and they're just giving them these loans.
Yeah,
They take the loan for 2 seconds, literally less than a day. They put 1,000 of them together, mixed in with good loans, and say, "Here, these are all really great loans. Take them." And then after 5 years, half those loans go bankrupt, and the big companies lose all their money because they're not smart enough to know their loans.
And because after 6 months, it went from 6% interest
To
to
30.
26%.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. But I was watching that and I was thinking about it, and I was like, just the whole idea of giving people loans that have no business having loans. And when I first started looking into houses, I did like a really quick pre-qualification, and I told them my income, and I told them what my down payment could be, and I told them like how much savings I had or whatever. And they go, "Oh yeah, we can, just send us over some of your W-2s or whatever. We can definitely give you a pre-qual for like 475 grand." And I was like, 475 grand? That's absurd for one income. $475,000.
But
That would be every dime I made.
yeah, but here's my argument with you with your last statement when you like defended the like I think you called them low income or whatever people that didn't deserve the mortgages. Is it like because it's kind of like contradicts like how like your political views a little bit where like when was it ever the bank or the financial institute or whatever the name of it is, when was it ever their responsibility to educate the person on the transaction that they're about to make?
I think it's like, well, there's obviously disclosures and stuff you have to sign, which no one reads, and even if they did read them, they wouldn't understand them. And I'm not saying that the people should be forgiven, but I am saying the biggest problem with it, obviously, is that just like the accountability thing, they did it because they didn't give a crap, because they knew once they failed, they were going to get money
Yeah,
back.
but like that, I just like, I mean, and I'm only asking you because maybe it's a better me to see things that way, but it's like, that would be like, if someone went and bought a car, like, is it if someone was coming to me to buy a car, is it my responsibility to, like, pull the rear differential cover off and be like, hey, like, see this gear's a little chipped here, like, there's a chance that the rear end might go out in a couple
No, I
months
actually think it works out perfectly the way it's supposed to work. So if you're a lower income person, like a normal guy that just doesn't make a ton of money, you don't have any education in financials because you just never grew up that way, and you get a loan that you can't afford, and they take your house, your credit score should go down to crap, and then you shouldn't be able to get loans anymore. That's how it should work. And then you just pay for your things. It's going to be like, it's not going to be as nice, but you're going to be able to pay for your things as you do them. But the problem with that whole situation was, and it's the same as what we were talking about before, is that the reason the banks did it is because they knew the government was going to pay them back the money anyway. So I'm okay with the whole system going the way it's supposed to go as far as all that goes, but then the problem is they were taking advantage of people, whether it's the people's fault or not, which obviously it's both of their faults, but in the end it goes down to the person getting the loan. But the problem is, if you're going to do it the right way, quote unquote, which is essentially buyer beware, know what you're buying, then the banks, knowing that and putting their money out into these risky loans, shouldn't have just gotten their money back anyway through the government. That's the big problem. Because they just got all their money paid back. It's ridiculous. Rather than just say, okay, well, you stupid banks are not out of business, and let these other banks take over that's actually doing things the right way. That was the biggest problem with that whole thing. But
why did they get paid back?
Because it's all corrupt. The way it works is, that should work is, okay, these three banks just lost their ass on all these loans because they were taking advantage of people, and now they want their money back, knowing that they were doing all that crap for so long. No, you guys go out of business, and then these smaller mid-level banks that are doing everything right are going to take all their market share, and they're going to take over and be the big banks now. But they don't do that anymore because they said people were going to get fired and blah, 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 blah. Which, by the way, these people are going bankrupt over these houses. That, it's like, oh, they're going to get fired. They're already fired. They're already screwed. The economy's done. So it was just all corruption, I think.
Nightmare.
Just like it's going to be. Just like there's these bailouts for the companies now. Which I think also crazy. Which is part of the whole thing going on with that coronavirus now. They're giving out billions of dollars to those companies too. But yeah, I think that's the biggest problem. But the thing is that I was watching those clips, and then I'm thinking about people that I know that are like, I'm watching these clips and they're saying, oh yeah, they did this and this and this, and their credit score was this, and then I remember them saying, hey, we're going to really change how we're giving out loans. It's going to be a lot harder to get a loan, and it's going to be more reasonable. And then I'm thinking about people I know that
just got them.
Like in the last couple of years, I'm like,
yeah,
last 2 or 3 or 4 years, I'm like, they shouldn't get loans either. I mean, think about it. I could get a $500,000 mortgage. That's outrageous. Can you imagine the taxes? If I get a $500,000 mortgage, you're talking about in Florida. I mean, my mortgage would have to be, my taxes would have to be $7,000, $7,000, and then my mortgage is going to be like $1,500. It's going to be like $3,000 a month, or something like that. $2,500 a month. That's outrageous. And they were willing to give me that. It's like crazy.
Well, because they'll stretch it out.
It'll be 30 years. But it's still just like they're still doing the same thing. And I was actually reading up on it after I watched those clips, and now they have the same exact things that they used to have, those big, huge, like pots of these mixed with bad loans and good loans thing. Yeah. They just renamed it. It's exactly the same thing, and they renamed it to something else. It's like they know because they're going to get their money back anyway. And I guess Trumpster just tried to put a person in like some federal economics board. I don't even know what agency it's for, but the Senate blocked her from being appointed because she wanted us to go back to a gold standard. And they're like, no way, that's too crazy. They're like, wait, this woman wants us to have money when we give out money? No, no, no. So they blocked her. She was like out. They're like, controversial pick is rejected. And I looked up why she's controversial, and she wants gold standard back. So we can actually say, like, this is how much money we actually have. And they're like, no, that's too crazy for us. So we're screwed. I mean, I don't really know what the end game is here, but I think it's like one of those things that's just like fake it until, one day it's really going to become an issue. But I also don't know if it's really ever going to be an issue because we're just going to make more money. It's like, is it really an issue? I don't know. We just keep printing money. Can we just do it forever? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess worst case scenario, we just turn into like bartering with your neighbors.
I guess.
Like
eventually
there's enough people that have mills and you can get into blacksmithing.
Yeah. Yeah, we can raise goats.
I don't know.
Yep. I think I don't know. I don't know how all that stuff works, which is part of the reason I have a hard time actually like having a thought on it. But it just seems to me it's like it just seems like way too freaking complicated to me. And then it's taken advantage of. But I don't really know about like macroeconomics to have an actual opinion on it. It just seems a little fishy to me. How crazy and how complicated it all is. Seems like it should just be like, well, we have this much money, and like that we have this much money, and it just gets moved around from here to here to here to here. Like, how do you? I just don't understand the whole. How do you make more money out of nothing? I don't get it. Like, where's it coming from? Like, where are you earning the more money? I guess it's like interest and like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like stocks going up or something. I'm not sure. Like the stock market. Like that was my other question. So let me ask you this and tell me if it makes your mind explode, which it has been, because we've been like messing around with stocks and making $3 and stuff. Well,
negative.
Okay, so let's say I put $1,000 into a stock, and it's $1 per stock, and I have 1,000 shares, and then those shares go down to 50 cents. Right? So now I'm worth $500. I just lost $500. Where did that money go? Like, if I actually had green bills and I was paying with green money to the company, like, here's my $1,000. And then they say, okay, well, now your shares are worth $500
on Wall Street salary.
Yeah, but like, where is it actually going? I want to follow the actual bill. It just disintegrates?
I don't know.
I don't understand at all. Like, if I don't buy or sell it, and it's just going like this, it's like, where? I'm confused. Where is it?
Who won my money?
Where is it? Because I haven't moved anything. It's just sitting there. It's a stack of $1,000. Now it's a stack of $500, but it didn't go anywhere. I'm so confused. I'm sure there's an answer. I just can't figure it out because it's not like people are getting that money.
That's crazy.
I don't even know where my money goes when I buy a stock. Is that going to the company? Or is that just going into some imaginary bank where it goes up and down and you can withdraw from it again? That's what I don't understand. Like, who am I paying? Because I know, like, okay, so I guess it's because I'm buying from another person. Like, someone wants to sell 1,000 shares, I buy 1,000 shares. And then they get the money. But then when it goes up or down, where's that money coming from? I guess it's not real money yet because it's not.
I don't know.
The real question is, okay, so I have $1,000 into a stock. It goes down to 500. I sell the 500. Where did that freaking $500 go? Who kept it? Because it was somewhere. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it just literally is just moving around amongst everyone. Like, your 500 goes into the bank, so 250 of it comes out of that bank to pay the guy who just went up $250. Like, maybe it's just in this big.
But like a person buys. Like, if I put my stocks up for sale, and I just lost $500 on it, you would then say, okay, I want to buy $500 for the stock. You would buy my stocks off of me through the broker. So now you have those stocks and they're worth $500. But I paid $1,000 for it, and now the money's just gone. No one earned that money. It's just in the computer, is now gone. That's why I just don't understand. This is why I shouldn't be trading stocks.
Well, I feel like maybe one Google search would answer.
I tried it. It's too confusing. This is why the stock market was not made for me to do. But I did buy a bunch of Pfizer stocks.
Did you? What about that Moderna?
Oh, yeah. Well, Pfizer said that they were going to come out. They're trying to get their vaccine passed, like, instantly. So
what is it a share?
16. I have $1,000 in it.
Really?
Yeah, I sold everything else.
Did you lose?
No.
You sold Expo?
I had to.
Are you kidding me?
Did it go up?
No.
Of course not. Yeah, I sold it. I couldn't take it anymore. I was too stressed.
You are such a private individual.
Why?
Because you got me onto it, and we would talk back and forth about it, and then you
Yeah, but
sell
I'm
it,
not
and it's
really
like you would think you're just like Jack of Joe Texto 5000, like you either send 100 messages or you're disappeared.
Wait, hang on.
And it's like, why wouldn't you have like been like, hey man, I'm selling Xbox? It's just one of those things. I'll never understand it, and you'll never be able to explain it. Like you just have these like weird things where you're like, well, he won't care. Oh, I don't care. Like,
well, I didn't think it was like really a big news thing.
I mean, it's not. What do we talk about? The dumbest shit on earth. Hey, did you see this ad on YouTube? Like, dumb shit. And it's just funny when, like, something like that. Like, I'm not mad at all. I'm just saying, like...
Remember when we had Xbox and it was at $7 and we had purchased it at 90 cents?
Yeah. I've been waiting on that ride. I got two...
Gosh!
Dude, I got 2 rides that I'm down as hell. Freaking...
Yeah, see, I didn't realize how stupid I am.
Ship and Xbox. But, I mean, I would say to you, like, dude, I'm a selling Xbox. And, like, just your confidence, like, no, man, you gotta hold it. I'm holding it. Like, so I didn't even look into it anymore. I was just like, well, I'll just wait and see. So that's why it's kind of, like, alarming when you're like, oh, I sold it. And I'm like, ship, I'm down on big dollars.
You know what's crazy? Is I had... This is called inexperience. I had purchased Xbox for, like, 80-something cents a share. It went up over 10 times to $7. Or a little bit less than 10 times to $7, and I didn't sell it. 700% increase, and I didn't sell it. You gotta be a psychopath. Like, seriously.
You are.
And it was there for 2 days, and I never sold it.
You are.
And I would have made $4,000 off of a $500
Because
investment.
you drank the Kool-Aid on the fucking Corona bullshit. If you looked at the real money, the numbers, you'd have been like, oh, duh. But you were caught, and I'm not picking on you, I mean, I was just as well, but we're caught on this like, oh yeah, but it's going to break any day soon, and they're going to be testing everyone at the
And then they didn't, it
airports.
went down. God, I have no idea how it works.
Because you know what it is? It's the bullshit. It's the fake it till you make it. That's what the stocks is. Like, the stocks boom when there is the idea that it could go huge. Yeah. Like, Ford is blowing up right now because the Bronco is coming. You know what I mean? Like, That's what it is, and that's where the money goes. The money must go into, like, a GoFundMe. Ford hasn't even started making fucking Broncos. They just sell the idea and see if they can get the stock market and the pre-sales to go through. Right?
It's up $3.
Dude, could that be? Do you hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they throw out a GoFundMe, but they don't say it's a GoFundMe. They're like, hey, you can pre-order Broncos at a little extra money. Hey, we got these commercials. Hey, we'll give a couple out for reviews. And then they watch the stock market.
Yep.
And then the people invest in the stock market, and then they're like, we hit our number, let's start making Broncos.
yeah, seriously.
That's
they do that.
Is.
They call it. They do it. It's called a stock offering. They're
That's
like,
what it is.
They're like, hey, we're gonna sell $3 million in stocks for $2 a piece. Who wants them?
Gosh. Someone's gonna listen to this someday when we're all dead, like fucking caveman. I'll pick up this fucking soundbite and listen to it, and they'll be like, these dudes are so stupid.
Yeah.
They didn't already know this? Like, yeah, GoFundMe.com. Let's make, like, the funniest, like, most, like, obvious name for, like, reality. Like, we need money, and if we get enough money, it's like the temperature, the thermometer that you see on the side of the road where the red goes up. We hit our number, now we can build... You know,
we can build
a park or whatever it is.
Water slide.
And that's what we live in. We live in, no, it's that big thermometer that you drove by when you were a kid.
GoFundMe is hilarious. GoFundMe is hilarious. It's basically saying, hey, I want to start this company with zero risk. So I'm not going to build these things unless everyone pays for them before I do it. I know. And it's like, that. So either I get all my money and I have enough to just buy them with zero risk and make $1 million, or I'm not going to do it at all.
Or what about Patreon?
Yeah.
Patreon. Like, hey guys, thanks to all my Patreon viewers. I'm gonna put a little extra film footage on, and all my Patreon customers, they get to see the behind the scenes footage. Like, what the
Yeah, and
hell?
then you know what it is? It's the freaking Ovaltine ad from A Christmas Story, where he gets a special thing because he's an Ovaltine member, and all it says is to remember to drink your Ovaltine. So there's
Exactly.
their Patreon subscribers just get like a 30-second clip saying, "Hey, thanks for coming and being a subscriber."
If I had a friend that was like, maybe someday Pat will do it, but if I had a friend that like did the Patreon thing, I would push them so hard. And I swear, it would probably bring views from outside. I would push them so hard to not only say like, hey, thanks Jim Jopperson from blah, 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 new Patreon member. Say how much they freaking gave.
Oh.
Could you imagine how entertaining that would be if it was like, thanks Jim Jimson, like for patroning $1 towards the fund, you know? You're like, thanks for $10,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
They do that on Twitch. You know what Twitch is?
no.
Twitch is like a streaming service for like people like playing video games, and people watch these people play video games, and while they're streaming, people are giving them money.
I have heard of that.
And it's like some of these guys are like outrageous. Yeah. Oh my gosh, hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
And they'll be sitting there, and I'm watching these people. I don't really watch it very much, but like if I want to like see if I want to download a game or something, I'll look at it. And there's just got these guys watching. There's 30,000 people watching them, and it's constant. It's like,
why?
Oh, thanks for the $2. Thanks for the $5. Because if you give them money, I guess you get like, you can give them you can write a message along with it, and it's like them saying, we want you to keep being able to do this with that, you know, like it's like, but people get like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Like you probably have like trust fund people that have like millions of dollars and just don't care, and they'll be like, here's $10,000, and it's like, holy Jesus. But constantly getting money. Like I was watching one guy for like 15 minutes and just watching his money come in and keeping track, and then like 15 minutes he made like $600 or $500 in just $5 donations. One guy would give him 5, one guy would give him 20, and just constant.
Is that one of those things anyone can start?
Yeah,
it's just hard to get.
Yeah, you're not going to get, like I have friends that try to do it, they don't have followers or anything.
Is it like you did like a sweet kill or something?
No, they literally sit in front of their computer for hours showing their computer screen and talking and like just playing a video game.
Right,
it's like a show.
I know what I'm saying though. Like, is it like someone does like a sweet move on a game, and that's when they send them a couple?
No, they send it constantly.
Just because they're talking.
Yeah, just because they want to like send a message to them or whatever.
I wonder. That's so weird.
Yeah, they do it on. They can do it on YouTube. There's a guy that I've watched sometimes on YouTube.
Yeah, I guess I've seen one when we've looked, you know, for like a BMX show or something. I've seen there's like a kid that plays a game, and it's like his little face is down in the corner while he's playing it. Yeah,
if they do it live, you can send donations on YouTube now.
But there's got to be more of an incentive. You know what I mean? Like there has to be.
I think it's the people are thinking they're benefiting, like because they want to see that stuff often. So then they're like, oh well.
Then why wouldn't like YouTube work on that platform?
YouTube work on what platform?
Like you can donate to.
They do. You can donate on YouTube. If you go live on YouTube, you can do live donations now. Because there's some guy that he's been on Joe Rogan a couple of times. He's like I don't know how to explain him. He always wears like you don't watch it, but he used to be a super liberal, and now he's like realizing they're crazy, and he's like switched, but he has a live show. And he has like 600,000 followers, but he'll have 80,000 people watching him and just getting constant donations throughout the thing because they want him to be able to keep doing it full time.
Wow.
So he makes money off ads and stuff, but he also makes a crap load of money off it. And he has probably a Patreon too. They just have everything. It's crazy, but they make a crap load of money.
It's quite a feat if you think about it to break that. To when you start getting
people giving you money to just do it.
It's got to be like a pretty enlightening moment.
Can you imagine if Joe Rogan did the live thing with donations? He would be making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I guarantee it. Hundreds of thousands of dollars an episode just so people donating to him. Because he has millions of listeners. Yeah. Like, if 0.5% of his listeners gave him money, he'd make but he doesn't want that because he makes $500 million.
And, you know, I was thinking about stuff like that, too. Like, I bet you there is some kind of, like, if you go online and you want to buy something, it's like almost nowadays, it's like Amazon is the easiest, securest. Like,
Yeah.
not only do you not have to worry about credit card hack or any of those things, but it's like, if I don't want it, if I don't like it, I'll send it back. Like, it's quick and easy and whatever. And then, like, eBay comes kind of in next, is like, for probably the majority of people. It makes me wonder if, like, like you say, like, go live, like Joe Rogan could make all that kind of money. Like, I wonder if that was part of the move to go with someone like Spotify, where like it's it's guests, it's like a more secured thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a more like obviously it's not on the same plane as like a transaction place like Amazon or something, but I wonder if it's not like, hey, we're not doing this in our own basement anymore. Like, we're not just uploading it to the podcast app or whatever it was called when it was with Apple. Like, I just wonder if it's like this next level where now people, even of like that couldn't before, can now.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Wait, so is Joe Rogan's podcast? He's not going to be on Apple or anything. He's just going to be on Spotify. Is that the idea?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I mean, I think
it's
just him, and it's just Spotify and YouTube. He said he wasn't going to stop YouTube.
Oh, okay.
But that's like a day later or something.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, because it's essentially, I guess, a licensing thing for Spotify. So I wonder if he can just still do whatever he wants. It's just Spotify wants to put it on their platform.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they ever release it, but it's a contract,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just.
I'm pretty sure we could even do this live on YouTube.
Oh,
while we're recording it.
Yeah.
The problem is,
I don't want to do anything live.
I was going to say, we're going to say something about something as a joke, and then all of our one listeners are going to get really mad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a concept that people they don't put it in their lives anymore, where it's like humans make mistakes.
Oh, I know.
So it's like, yeah.
Be fired tomorrow.
Yeah. There's not enough shit.
Oh, man.
Hey, so what about this idea? Like, I was thinking with smell, right?
Smell-o-vision?
Smell. Like, what is
smell?
Clean?
What is clean? What do you mean, what's clean?
So, like, we use soap and shampoos and body washes and colognes and deodorants and all these kind of things, right? Is it realistic to say that, like, you are gonna smell no matter what, and that our best defense is to put off another smell that smells good and overpowers your...
What do you mean, your skin smells gonna smell bad?
No, just like in general, like what makes someone wear something that makes them smell good or bad?
What makes them smell? Why do they do it?
Yeah, so like, I guess I'm trying to go around a backdoor approach to what the main like dilemma is like everything is like tropical breeze.
Ooh, I love it. I got coconut.
Sport, or like all these names, and it's like whether it's cologne or aftershave or shampoo or face wash or any of these things, like there's nothing like the weird people, which I mean I get and I prefer, is like no scent, like non-scented or whatever. But like, I'm just wondering, like, is that kind of a sign of like stinky humans, where it's like ultimately you can take a shower, but you're gonna smell
very quickly,
so quickly that we need to combat your smelly smell with a sweet smell.
I don't know. I think it's just I don't know. It's got to be something. It makes us Probably releases endorphins or something when you smell good.
Yeah, but do you get what
Like
I'm saying?
natural.
Though? Like, is that the real cell? It's like, I once had a biology teacher tell me that, like, you don't, like you use soap on your skin, and it doesn't really, like, you're not really, like, getting clean. Like, I guess she kind of was making the point that, like, soap essentially creates, like, this slippery part to your skin that allows, stuff to rinse off, but, like, ultimately, like, you're not getting cleaner. And I don't even mean to go on all that, because I didn't really get exactly what she meant, and she was a little different. But, like, the point being, though, is, like, what do people smell? Like, do people talk about people smelling? Like, it's always the extremes. Like, it's like the homeless dude that stinks, like, you know, onions, like just nasty stinking onions, smelly armpit, or like the old lady that's wearing like some like
mothball,
like strong like roses perfume. But like in between there, like
Matthew McConaughey doesn't wear deodorant.
Well, because I have these thoughts, right, and like I'm kind of like. I'm not even like afraid to say it because like I think it's like mechanical thinking. But like deodorant, for instance, right now deodorant breaks the mold. Deodorant not only comes in a nice, tasty flavor, but deodorant is designed to clog, if not plug, if not slow down the glands.
Yeah.
From excreting sweat and or odor.
Correct.
So like I have this thing, like I put on deodorant like along the same lines as like how I pick out what clothes I need to wear to an occasion.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, like to me,
oh,
like
gosh.
So like I think that deodorant is like a very, very nice thing to do for the people around you, but it's very bad to do to yourself.
Oh, see, I don't think it's that bad.
So, like, and I mean, I maybe take away very bad, but it's not good. Like, it's for your neighbor, it's not for you.
I guess.
The major point being, though, like, I'll give you an example for me. Like, if I work, if it's a Tuesday, I wake up in the morning, I do my routine, I put deodorant on, I put my shirt on, and I go do my job. And I go through the whole day riding on that deodorant kick. Now, on my day off or something, I may get up and do things until, I get dirty running off of yesterday's deodorant that I put on in the morning. I'll take a shower and put new clothes on at 11, 12, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I do not put deodorant on.
I think I do the same thing.
And so, like, and I'll do that, like, tonight. Like, I took a shower after working outside, and I took a shower, and, like, it's, like, a no-brainer. Like, I'm not wearing deodorant. But I even do that, like, if I start thinking, like, maybe I might be getting sick. I do that, like, if I'm not feeling great. Like, whenever, like, it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, that old like saying like drink a lot of liquids if you're not feeling good, or like vitamin C or all those kind of things. Like essentially you're trying to push everything along the treadmill to cleanse your body out of the issue.
Yeah.
And so this turned into a whole nother conversation because originally it was about the smell, but like, the reality is like I don't think a lot of people think about that. And I think that there's a good chance that like it may not be one of those things that like affects your health like on that day or on the next day, but I think that it's a good concept to like play into your wellness.
I think it's probably one of those things. It's like we do a million things that's like subtly bad for you that we never used to do to our bodies. Now all of these little things that we do are, you're not going to die from wearing deodorant, but it's just like it's wearing deodorant, it's eating like just food that's not the best for you and all that other thing, and cumulatively is not good.
Right.
But there are people, yeah, like, I think your wife is, like, an anti-deodorant person, isn't she? Like, anti-perspirant, like, Old Spice. Like, she wants to use stuff that's not...
More or less, yeah. But, I mean, I think, though, like, the problem is there's two things going on. So I'm speaking right now to all the people that, for the right reasons or the wrong, try to do all these healthy things. Mm-hmm. Well, that's maybe one of those things that you need to consider. And the realization is, like, you can't go to the store and buy the $20 deodorant that's, like, made from the sap of the greatest tree out of, New Zealand. Mm-hmm. I'm saying the reality is like, when you need deodorant, you need deodorant. Like, you can't be a professional and smell like, patchouli and hemp oil.
Correct.
But I think, though, like, it's almost like clean energy. Like, it's almost like recycling. It's almost like, of all these things, it's like, yeah, okay, like, me throwing out my soda can in the recycle bin, like, isn't going to make that big of effect. But in the long run, it really is. In the long run, like, the friend that's over that sees you do it, or the family member, or the recycle truck driver that drives by and picks it up every week, whatever the case is. And I think that, like, that's one of those things where it's like you have to find the moderation. You have to find, like, we need to be more tactile. We need to not go into these extreme thought processes where it's like, well, we need all solar power and wind energy. Like, it's kind of like how, like, these prepper people do, like, the solar thing, where it's like, well, you know what? Like, they built a solar system with batteries and all, and they know that they could do this during these months. So they've got a gas generator in the shed. Like, it's like real life. It's not like, oh, well, I eat all organic. Like, you're going to live or die whether you said you did or you didn't. You know what I mean? And it's like, like, the reality check is kind of like, just like, that's a mechanical thing, deodorant. It's like mechanically thinking, like, okay, well, if I was going to put stop leak in my oil, it's good that it stops my leak, but it's also not good because it's not as great as a lubricant for the bearings in my motor. Like, there's a give and a take.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, what I was just thinking about this whole time is we wear deodorant because we can't stand the smell of ourselves anymore. Like, body odor is bad. And I was thinking, like, at what point did we get so freaking civilized that we are literally going against our genetics, and it actually disgusts us now, which would, like, genetically it's not supposed to. It just is what it is. I don't think cavemen were walking around putting...
So I got two responses to that. One,
maybe they were. Maybe they're putting rosemary on themselves and stuff. I don't know.
Well, so here's my initial response to that. I forget the word that is used. It's a cool word. But there is a real biological thing, in humans at least, that you become desensitized to the smell that you're around all the time. So it's like, if you wear Drakkar cologne every single morning, like, you don't smell it eventually.
Yeah, it's like when I have a dog. I never knew my house smelled like a dog.
Right, like, you desensitize. So going into your, like, cologne smelling thing, like, if they just, like, the toilet paper turned into cologne and fruity, tasty smells, and we all smelled for a while, eventually, you know what I mean? Like, I think that we would pick up, like, a dog smells an ass, like, everyone would be, you wouldn't, like, be like, oh, that guy smells, but you would smell like, oh, that's that person.
Maybe. Maybe. Walking around smelling each other's face.
You know what I mean? Like, but you wouldn't smell like the onion smelly ass.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When did we get to the point where we got like that?
So here's my second part of that. The fucking best. The best. My grandmother's generation. So let's try to figure out, if she was like 80, let's say 85 right now, how old was she when she was like 30?
30.
Huh?
She was 30.
Okay, so no. Like what year?
Oh, so it would have been 55 years ago. So it would have been 1970 something.
Okay, so around that time, 1970, somehow, somewhere, popular culture said, "Oh no, oh no." Don't give that baby the milk out of your breast. No. You use formula.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah,
I don't know
I know.
if you know, but honestly.
Yes, I know.
And it turned into you were like homeless.
If you were letting a baby suck your titty.
If you used your own breast. You were like, oh, you're low income. Like, what's your husband do? Freaking sell ice to Eskimos? Like, you know what I mean? And if that is not what our whole culture is based on.
Yes.
Waves. It's just,
yeah.
hey, here comes a wave. Who's jumping on this one?
I was thinking about that actually when you were talking about you can't smell like patchouli. It's like, well, it's going back to we went from cavemen using all natural stuff, and then we get to a point where we said don't let a baby breastfeed because it's not good for him.
Yeah.
And then now everyone's going right back down and saying now everyone's like, hey, don't eat the cow that was fed grain, just eat the one that was eating grass, and don't use deodorant because there's aluminum sulfuric acid in it or whatever.
Yeah.
Use oil and stuff, but then it's going to switch back because that shit doesn't work. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it, but it doesn't work.
Well, I mean, it's
if you sweat and you use oil with saffron in it to put under your armpits, you smell.
Yeah, but
you don't smell like saffron. You smell like body
here's the thing, though. Like,
you don't have any ice left.
No, the thing is, though, is like that's gone. Right? So, like...
What's gone?
That thing in life that happened back when you did do that, like, and let me say, like, originally, it was original. But, like, let's use patchouli, for instance. I think it smells good, right?
I do, too.
Patchouli, at some point in history, was, like, a legit, like, this is how we smell good.
Right. Like rubbing yourself with rosemary or something.
Like a long time ago. Yeah. And then in like the 60s, I can relate to just like shows and documentaries and like whatever. But like, you know, in the 60s and that kind of thing, it was owned by the hippie movement. Like it was like they took that on. Someone like was into the religion that the patchouli came out of, or something happened. Maybe some old grandfather was like, oh, we used to be hippies too, 100 years ago, and they told him we use patchouli. Whatever the case is. But the reason I say that it's gone now is because you will never get rid of that relation that patchouli has to the smeller. Like the neighbor. So, like, it's like that's gone because now, unfortunately, like, to what percentage of people that are involved in that are doing it so that they get that persona?
I don't know.
You get what I'm saying, though? Like, so, like, it's gone because, like, at one point, that was really what you used.
Yes.
And, like, then we had this era, 50 years ago where it was like, this is what this group of people used.
Uh-huh.
And now we're, like, revisiting this a little bit more, but it's like you're still not going to be able to separate it from the last group that had it. Like, for instance, like, I have a roller of it. I don't use, like, straight patchouli. It's patchouli and sandalwood or something that she makes for me. But like the joke that like most recent joke from my last job was like, Zach, you some of your equipment that you left in the office. Like,
It smells like patchouli.
it smelled like patchouli, and now it's weeks later, and the whole office still smells like it. And it makes me like a little bit uncomfortable because I'm like, well, what does that imply to a lot of people? That I'm like a hippie, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a real life thing. That's like, it literally was reminded to me on Monday, or on the other day, 2 days ago, when like someone was like laughing, two guys are laughing or whatever, and they're like, yeah, man, I got your old work truck or something, and I, still can't get that smell out of it, and it's just like, because I broke the mold. Like, no one would do that.
Yeah. You know what I was just thinking about that whole time? So like, for example, that kind of stuff was part of like that hippie movement and all that other stuff where they use all holistic things, more so when it wasn't that popular. Like, the majority of people were like super conservative, people in this country, and there was that little group. But then it expanded, and I think that we have like a lot of problems with the who's running industry and certain type of industries and media and all that other stuff, because they are those people from that time period. Those are the hippies, and now it's just more mainstream. So I was thinking, is it overall net gain, the fact that movement and that type of thing, not patchouli oil, but those ideas of those types of people, is it a net gain that they are now running the major industries, or is it net negative? For example, we have like these problems with media and all this other stuff, but then we also got all this other crap that otherwise would not have been mainstream if that group didn't expand into businesses and stuff like that.
Like Ben and Jerry's.
Like Ben and Jerry's. Like they're like Ben and Jerry's, or like whether it's good or bad, like people that run YouTube and the people that run Facebook and the people that run these major IT companies that benefit everybody, they would not
like Steve Jobs, for instance.
Yeah, we wouldn't have all those things if those types of people didn't get into business. And we have major problems with I think I have major problems with a lot of those things. But I'm wondering if it was an overall net gain, like if I had the power to control it with the way things are now. Like, just think of we talked about this last time, like the grocery store. Yeah, unless people that were like into that holistic, really nice, good food and all this other stuff got into a position to start ordering things for grocery stores, we wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store and get the food that we're getting. We'd be getting canned tomatoes. You know what I mean? Well, it's all moving back towards more like real stuff, which is like that hippie thing.
But that's so.
So I'm wondering if it's beneficial.
I don't know why that's even a thought. I mean, clearly it's beneficial.
Yeah, but there's a lot of negatives too.
I know, but I'm saying though, like, if you took away all, like, the problem is both sides have like 3 things they really don't like. That's it. There's like 3 things they really don't like about the other side. Like, if you boil it down. Now, I know that doesn't speak for everyone, but like, if you really boil it down, there's like, we have these like heartstring things that it's like, oh, well, I can't agree with that, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. But here's my thing. I use this like metaphor-ish type thing to describe myself. I say that I was a young kid, maybe started before I was even a teenager, where I was so interested in the 60s. And I was equally interested in the soldiers and M16s and Gerber knives and camouflage and all of that as I was in Woodstock and the psychedelics and Jimi Hendrix and all of the music and all of the, the history. And I consider myself that today.
What?
And both.
Oh, right.
And the thing that blows my mind is like, I'm not speaking from my ego. I've got nothing to gain from making this statement. But like, that's the best you could do. The best you could be is a conglomerate of what's around you. To pick the pros, to pick the cons, we can have different pros and cons, but we share the best of both worlds. We get YouTube, but we also get to, eat raw steak. It's like we get the best of both worlds. And that's the thing that, like, blows my mind, is that, like, that isn't a movement. Like, there isn't enough of those people that, like, they meet somewhere at some point, I don't know where, social media or anywhere, groups, clubs, bowling, American Legions, I don't know, like, somewhere there isn't this unity of, like, people that are like, look, like, I want, like, before there was this big division, I liked granola and hiking boots and shooting guns.
Right.
Like, I liked, like, going white water rafting and, listening to Simon and Paul while I, sharpened a knife, or while I went hunting, or while I did. And it's just like, I don't even know where I fit now. Like, I really don't know what, like, and you know what? I don't concern myself specifically with it. Like, I'm not like, man, I don't know where I am. It's literally like, man, I don't know what I reflect myself to be to other people. And, like, that just was this big segue off of, like, the patchouli smelling in the office from my equipment. Like, I don't know what I am.
Well, I have the same thing. People call me a hippie all the time because I'll say something like, like whatever, something about nature or something like that, or that I want trees, or I want to grow bananas in my backyard, and I like essential oils and stuff. Yeah, that's a huge problem. I think you can immediately tell on which it's first of all, it's a problem that I can include 99.9% of the population and just say whether you're left or right. Whether you're extreme left or extreme right, and now I'm including 99% of the population because we're so, controlled. People's minds are so easily controlled. That's a huge problem. But if you have someone that's more similar to us, and not trying to sound like I'm the coolest person in the world, but if you don't have a brain enough, like if I can give you the list of one group and tell you all of the things that they believe in, and you are on board with every one of those things, then you're either brain dead, or you're a liar, or
denial,
or you're in denial.
I think is where I'm.
It's like, that is insane to me. Like, there's no way you should be in agreement with any. If one person tells me four things that they believe in strongly, it's a pretty good likelihood I'm not going to agree with at least one of those things. And for people to have, like, just follow these things blindly, and it's also crazy to see how quickly things can change for each of these groups, and everyone in that group changes with it. That's the craziest thing, because then you know that they're freaking brain dead.
I know, but the problem is it's human. It's
for
both
sure.
sides. There's no one to point a finger to. It's just one of those things where it's like, you want to, like, grab someone from both shoulders and just do that, like, theatrical shake. Like,
yeah.
like
2 weeks ago you told me this, and now you're telling me this, and you believe just as strongly in both of them. It's like, you're crazy. Because people don't have a mind. It's like most people want to follow.
Like, I was just at this thing, and where I was at, there was also law enforcement people there. And a bunch of people started showing up with coffee. With coffee, like these, like they looked like police, and they showed up with coffee in their hands, and it was Starbucks. And I'm like,
are they anti-police?
The thing is, though, like, this is gonna create a whole nother world of argument. But here's the thing, like, if I want to be involved in granola bars, if I like granola bars, I've tried them, I know that this brand is good, and the oats come from this mountain, and the breeze is just right. I like them for their granola.
Granoli.
And they like me for my money.
Correct.
and we have this symbiotic relationship. Now, at some point, this granola brand decides to publicly display their political view or their thought on some
something you
agenda.
Yeah.
Whether I agree with it or don't agree with it, that was never supposed to be their thing. We were never supposed to humanize a company. And so the reason I talk about Starbucks, I have a gift card for Starbucks. All right?
It's 5 years old.
Someone gave it to me. They were like, hey, here's a gift card. You know, thanks for the work you do. And I was like, holy smokes. And I didn't even see it when I got it in my hand. And when this woman left, I looked down and I was like, it's a Starbucks. Right? Now, Starbucks for me is like, it would have been like, gosh, I found this great little shop and they make these delicious little coffee treats that I like to have once in a while. And then one day, they had to take a stance about something that it's not even like totally like I'd go to war about, anything like that. But it's like they just said something that I was like, you're only dividing people.
Right.
Now you just like, okay, yeah, you made all like the majority of your customers feel better about you. But you just made the other people have to question whether or not they can enjoy your tasty treats anymore. And that pisses me off. And so, like, we are in the generation of that. It's like, you too.
You have to have an opinion.
U2, the band. My mother loved them my whole life. Like, I was one of those kids, I was like, man, when I hear this song when my mom passes away, like, this is going to make me cry. You know, like, it was such a part of our lives. We saw them in concert when I was young. I liked them just as much as I thought my mom did and my family did. And then they came out on this big point, which, you know, I'm not here to talk about my political views or humanistic things or anything, but like they came out on this big thing about like making abortion something that's, I don't even know the specifics, but
easier.
Like, but basically, yeah, making it more of an acceptable thing, whether or not it was a law, a rule, whatever. And it's like, oh, now I gotta fucking delete that hard drive of U2 music because that's my piece of life. That's my responsibility in life to be like, you know what, that guy just talked bad to my child or was derogatory to my wife. We're not gonna be around him anymore. Like, we're not gonna go to that shop anymore. We're not gonna go, and it's the same thing. Like, if you want to humanize your company, that implies to me, which you may consider an old school or a brain wash or whatever negative, to me it's like you did this, you asshole. I still want to go to you, but I can't now.
Why can't you buy things from people that you disagree with? Because you think it's implying that you support them?
Correct.
Oh.
And inevitably you do.
Are you talking about the Starbucks thing about all that nonsense a few years ago?
Oh, it's been multiple occasions.
Yeah, I guess I never really paid attention. Yeah.
Their views on guns, and there was a thing where like in areas they had police officers couldn't go in because they carried guns, and it's just like, and the last thing I think was like an employee, which was negligent because an employee isn't Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like the employee did something.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just saying though, like they ride that wave. They ride the like, oh yeah, well we are this way. We do this. Yeah, we sell coffee, but we're also going to change the world.
So I have a question as devil's advocate. Would you think the same way if a company said, we support every time you buy coffee from Starbucks, we're going to give 50 cents to starving kids in Africa that are enslaved?
What?
Would you not want to go to that place anymore because they're making a stand against that? Because you're saying that
you're saying if they do something that I support,
right? So that's
then
the
I would
thing.
go there
because they're thinking of not Starbucks necessarily, but these types of companies are thinking about whatever cause they're doing the same way they're thinking about that. They actually believe that that's a legitimate cause. And they could be saying, hey, we're going to give 50 cents to a starving family in Africa with every coffee you buy. But the people that live there are like, wait a minute, that's not really what's going on here. Or, they might be like, well, screw you. That's not really what's going on here. Those families are terrorists or whatever.
Yeah.
So those people would say the same thing you're saying. So like they've really always been humanizing themselves, or companies have always been doing that. It's just more recently it's been things that are much more controversial, I think. And they're putting themselves at risk. So I think the only thing you can do is not go to those places if you don't.
My dad, when we were little, went to Subway in our little town we grew up in. And Subway, when I was like that age, little kid, like Subway was the bomb.
Yeah, I remember that too. I used to think it was I used to think when we went to the Subway, we were going to the Subway. When I walked inside, I was like, wow, there's trains here.
Yeah, like it was a big thing. And my father went to a Subway one time. I don't believe I was there, but he was basically like going to Subway to get subs for the family or for people at the house or whatever. And he, much like me, and I think a lot of males, like they don't like to use like coupons and stuff.
Right.
And like I think that my mom or someone was like, here's a coupon, like we're getting 5 subs, you get 1 for free or something like that. And the manager like put up a sting. And like, so now you have this male who's like, it's a whole nother generation that we're probably on our audience right now, but like a whole nother generation, all 2 of you. This like, this guy now who was like uncomfortable in the first place, like, here's a coupon,
right? Which is how I am too.
Now this like other male is taking this stance, like, oh yeah, it's expired or it doesn't count or this store doesn't take it or whatever the case was. My dad would never go to another Subway. He never went to another Subway.
Well, that's a little extreme.
It is, and I'm telling you that story because it is extreme. But the point is, though, is like that mentality is gone. And the point of it being is my dad, although like that's extreme, my dad grew up where Subway, the sub shop, was a mom and pop. It wasn't like the guy behind the counter was just some idiot kid that got hired to a big corporation.
A lot of businesses back then.
Right. So I'm saying though, so my dad, Subway was like this like eye opener, like, holy crap, there's Subways everywhere. Like now I can never go to a Subway anywhere. But like, I'm just saying like, that's one of those things where it's like, for me, it's almost like eating that extra piece of candy, like to go, like if I went to Starbucks, because like to me, it's like, I know that they have not been doing good things for our culture. Mm-hmm. Even if it's something that I agree with or don't agree with, they've been creating a line.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to even carry that cup with the emblem on it, because that's like guilt by association.
Yeah, so I guess my thing is, everyone's got to do what they think is correct, and the companies the way it should work is the way that we're talking about, which is why they should say the F out of controversial topics, because maybe they put out something that says by buying Starbucks coffee you're supporting firefighters or something like that. Then you'd be like, yeah, cool. But then there'd be a million people that would be like, firefighters, they let my sister die last year. I'm not going to a friggin' Starbucks anymore. That's the thing. It's like, can I just buy a freaking cup of coffee?
The thing is...
and not have to think about it.
It's called popular vote.
Yeah.
It's called riding the line. It's whatever you want to name it. Just appease the human. Just be there for the human. Support the human and having a nice day. Like, I feel like Dunkin' Donuts has kind of done that. Like, everyone runs on Dunkin'. Like, all these, like...
Hey, you're right.
Like,
anything.
They don't give a shit about your face or your hair or anything. It's just like,
Here's your coffee.
Come get a good cup of coffee. We're all drinking coffee for the same reason, because we want to get away. We want to get alive and try to enjoy this hamster wheel we're on. You know, like it's like, and that's what pisses me off though. But you know what? Truthfully, and I would almost be like interested to be like, Ryan, tell me your 2 favorite companies right now that you buy products of, or you did buy products from. You know, and it's like everything I'm into. If I went and researched it,
you'd find something.
They would be the hippies. They would be the liberal, you know. Everything is. What do you think?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they're all run by more or less
sunglass companies.
I think it's a show. I think it's a ploy.
To look like that?
100%. Because there's no way these big companies actually want higher taxes. You're talking about billions of dollars. Yeah. It's a ploy.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I'm not talking to huge companies. I'm talking like.
Well, I mean, sunglasses. That company owns every sunglass company, and they just make them. It's like everything is. I really do think the majority of those things are ploys, and if it's not a ploy, it's because they're so big that it doesn't even matter.
Well, that's where I used to be most comfortable. Before there was all this like line drawing and stuff. Like I used to be most comfortable in like this like state of being like, well, you know, like my beliefs are kind of more towards that way, but like the way that I carry out my life is much more this way.
Yeah, well, that's the healthy way to be. If everyone thought,
but now it's like it's somewhat uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, see, I don't care. I don't really care.
I know, but I mean, like, I'm not saying like. Being hypersensitive to the surroundings, but I'm saying, like, in general, it has created a more uncomfortable, like, reality where it's like you're faced with either like, you know, I used to have a sticker on my 1987 full-size Ford Bronco, and it said. Say something like don't believe the media or something like that, you know, like one of those like things, and I loved it. You know, this is probably like,
and now if people would think if you had that on your
right
thing, they'd think you're a crazy person.
They would think I was crazy, but I mean, nonetheless, like what the point is, like, so now yesterday we're driving right through Northport, and man, if there wasn't a vehicle that you'd be like, are you just trying to get pulled over by the CIA? Like, they're driving a blacked out Econoline, lifted, black tinted, pulling it was matte black, the whole thing, pulling a trailer matte black. Like, it looked really nice, but like the back of it was like cut off China, like pro, you know, this, and like, oh, it had the guy humping or peeing, BLM, and then it had the guy like doing the hump thing to Antifa, like, and it was just like a bunch of these things where, like, you know, some people would relate to and think good, some people would relate to and think bad, but like, we basically have come to like our reality of driving down the road, and you've got this guy driving a lifted diesel blowing black smoke with a Trump flag waving in the back, or you've got like this like Prius with like, I voted for Bernie, you know, like, and that's really what it's come down to.
Yeah, and it's like I don't care. That's the biggest thing. It's like, when did we get to the point where you think I care about your opinion? I don't.
I know.
I hate it.
But the thing is, too, though, is like, I just had this conversation with my dad. Like, when did these people how do you get to the point to, you know, have been driving a car for a couple years in life and never realize that by being that way, you are creating a worse enemy.
Oh, for sure.
It's like the dumbest thing you could ever do on earth. Like, hey, I want you to start believing in, the X-ray theory. And my approach to you believing in it is like, your theories are all wrong. X-ray's the only way.
Yeah.
Like Calvin peeing on your theory. Like, dude, like that is the dumbest thing.
Those people are stupid people.
Those people though, like they needed to wait tables or something. They needed to like learn that like, oh, okay, well, I like to get a tip. So I got to do things that I don't necessarily 100% believe in. I don't necessarily want to do, but I got to do them to make the world go round, to get the best result.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not know that? How?
Because they're surrounded by the same types of people that they are.
Really?
It's 100%. I know people from back home and
I know people that are 60 years old. They lived their whole entire life.
Those people surround themselves with people that agree with them.
Their whole entire life, they live that way where it's just like, no, I think that you shouldn't use toilet paper, so I'm joining the Don't Use Toilet Paper Club, and we're all going to hold signs out on the road and say, no toilet paper.
Yep. Well, and then if you think about those people, a lot of them have the most to say, and they haven't changed one person's opinion in their whole lives. Actually, they make it worse.
So then let's play devil's advocate, though. What is because right when we were talking about it, I said, well, okay, then here's the only ploy they have, that they get the middle.
You don't have to I don't even think you have to be in the middle as far as what you think.
No. You get what I'm saying? These extremists get the people that were in the middle. They either go to one extreme or the other.
Correct.
Right?
Well, yeah, that would be what their goal is, but my goal would be for everyone to be in the middle.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a goal, but I'm saying, though, like, why people do that is because their brain thinks that, well, by me being this extreme, it's taking the people that are in the middle not sure, and they're going, well, if that guy's that serious about it, then I'm that serious about it.
They think that way. It's actually, I think, the exact opposite.
See, because I don't think that way. So it's a very good argument. Like, if someone was like, if Joe Schmo of the X-ray theory was sitting here right now, and he was like, look, man, I know, I'm not stupid. I know that I'm never going to get the other theory to come over to my side because I'm in their face, I'm abrupt.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this because I'm going to get the people that are in the middle that aren't sure. Like is that their argument?
I think that's their. I don't even honestly. I don't even think the people that act that way are even thinking that. The people that act that way think that they're right. They don't care about what anyone else's opinion is, and they're just going to say what they want. People that actually want to change people would never do that.
So is that just like a straight?
Although I say that, and good God, you think about the people like some of these big leaders that are crazy people like that, and they do suck people in. They do suck people in with that kind of craziness. But the people that you're talking about in our lives.
I don't know.
I don't think they can. I don't think I would I shut down on those people. Like, you could give me an argument that's completely you could be that way, and I could almost agree with the argument. But if you present yourself that way, I'm like, fuck off.
I know, but that's what I'm saying though. I'm trying to, like, the greatest thing going right now is like to understand. Like, look. I don't agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. That's
the way you think it should be, yeah.
And so, like, for me, it's like, well, I want to know what your brain is telling you. Like, is this totally an ego pat? Like, you're just like, well, I'm like this. I've always been like this, and I'll be damned if I go into this situation any other way. Everyone who thinks my way, let's get together and let's stomp the ground.
Yeah, let's convince ourselves some more.
Yeah,
which is a waste of time.
And and the biggest example is when it comes to these elections, because it's like, I have a conversation with someone where it's like, talking about Trump, and it's like we've had the conversation, like, look. Some people that are on the fence, or some people that like are in the middle, a lot of them, I'd say, would probably pick you, Mr. Trump, if you would just shut your mouth.
Correct. 100%.
If you would just, like, take a class, like, go wait a table at freaking Pizza Hut for a weekend, and then come back to the freaking Oval Office and be like, oh, you know what? I got a middle finger drawn on my receipt for this first table I had because I acted like I normally do. And then I learned to do this a little better, and they gave me $2. And by the end of the night, I was getting $10 a table. Like, why is that not happen in our recent election? Like, I learned that when I was in school. Yeah. When you think about, like, well, maybe someday I want to run for treasurer of your high school, or whatever those things are in early politics and that kind of thing. And it's like, well, how do you win, Zach? How do you win? Oh, you know how you win? You get everyone to like you.
Well, here's the thing. I look at him like, I'm sure you know some people. I know some people that are like this. When you first meet them, they'll be like a Donald Trump. Like, really outspoken, kind of douchey, but funny and whatever. And you're like, when you first meet someone that like that, you're kind of like, this guy's freaking hilarious. He's like funny to hang out with and stuff. And initially you're like, and he's like a know-it-all and all that other stuff. So like initially it's okay because it's a small dose, and you're like, yeah,
you're like,
this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah. So like a lot of people are like, yeah, this guy's hilarious, and that's why he got to where he was in the first place. Because otherwise he wouldn't even been noticed. Like the first time he went through. So he needed that to get there. But then it's like that same person you hang out with for a few months, and then eventually you're like, Jesus Christ, like this guy never stops. He's ridiculous. And he's, now he's getting to the point where he's like a cocky asshole. And then at some point you're like, this guy's kind of a dick. Like, I don't really want to hang out with him anymore because he continues and never learns to like moderate himself. And I think that's kind of what happened with him too. He got to the point where he's like he's alienated people because people are just like, oh my God. Where he literally I think he would have wiped this last election up if he was just, like you're saying, just, be reasonable. Just be like a normal person. Like
that first debate.
I turned it off. I couldn't watch it. I'm like, this guy's a freaking idiot. Yeah. And you're telling me that, I mean, he's just
no one,
so
and that's
arrogant.
the thing, though.
He's
like,
so arrogant.
Like, I think one of my first comments to you was like, imagine my son is gonna watch something like this eventually and think that's like, right now my son walks over and goes, Daddy, while I'm in the middle of a conversation, and I hold one finger up and he stops talking.
Yeah.
He's 4 years old. Not even. He's 3 years old. And now all of America is sitting in front of the TV and they're watching this debate for the person that's supposed to be the face of our country. Mm-hmm. And he can't even just stop talking.
He can't stop for 1
second.
To
allow someone to finish what they're saying and add little remarks and stuff. And it's like, should that be the reason why you don't elect someone, why you don't vote for someone? Not completely. But
those on the fence,
if we rewind back to the fence thing and the stuff that we're talking about, like, you got all the people, one side's got all the people that are, maple syrup hanging out in Vermont. The other side's got all the people that are, wrangling cattle and driving Ford pickups. You got them. They're not changing.
Right.
The goal is to find the people in the middle and pull more of them towards you so the other side can't get them.
Right, you have your people that you won with your arrogance. You're going to keep them regardless.
And it's like he almost just learned too late in the second debate, because the second debate it was like someone gave him a Xanax, and it was
and it was like laughable how bad he beat the other guy.
And yeah, they were just like, that's what, yeah, like finally someone in his party, someone in his team that sees and talks to him every day got the balls to be like, hey, Donald, I think you should try this.
I think you should try, like not talking so much. But yeah, so going back to that whole thing about the way his type of personality and the other people that are similar in that way is like, those are like probably my least favorite types of people.
Either side.
Either way.
Right.
And it's because and the people that have gotten away with it for that long have literally surrounded themselves with people that would never argue their opinion. And the way that they get around it throughout their life is they just make it annoying. Like, I don't even want to talk. Like, if I'm trying to have a conversation with you and you just keep saying things that are completely made up, and if you say things to me like, number one warning sign is you say something like, well, I have experience in doing this. And then you're like, okay, someone could tell me like, no, this is the way you clear a hallway. Like, I have experience in it. And then I'm like, oh, really? What's your experience? Well, I've watched a few documentaries on it. I know what I'm talking about. I'm like, okay, so this guy's a bullshit artist. He's literally going to just make things up to win arguments because he just wants to be right. He doesn't care if it's actually right or wrong. He just wants to be the one that's right. Mm-hmm. And if I talk to someone like that, I'm like, okay, there's really no point in even talking to this person anymore because it's just literally pointless. Like, I could be like, oh yeah, I'm a professional parachuter. And I do skydiving like every 2 days, and I've had 3,000 jumps, and then you're gonna tell me how to do something about skydiving, and then I'm like, well, okay, yeah, how many times have you skydived? Well, I watched a show about it, and I did some reading, and like I really did a lot of research into this, and you're like, okay, so this guy's a fucking idiot. This guy's just gonna tell me something to make himself sound right, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't even need to talk to that person, and I don't even think the person cares to. He wants you to think he's right, but he doesn't care about actually changing people's minds. Mm. And you're not going to change people's minds. The people that went along with that stuff, as far as we were talking about Trump and stuff, I don't think he changed anybody's mind. He just got people excited because someone was actually being kind of a dick back to Democrats, when typically Democrats were the ones kind of throwing stuff in people's faces. And he was the first one to really go back and be like, okay, we're not going to just be like little pussies about it. We're going to talk back. So people were cool about that. But
you can do it with a very sharp tongue, you know what I mean? And that's where the brilliance of this person that everyone wants to lead them comes, is like, yeah, man, you got one side of the skill. You know how to like bluff. You know how to push your weight. That's great. Like, use it like skillfully.
Yeah, and don't alienate people.
Yeah, use it skillfully so that like people want to be like you. People want to run their business like you've run the country. Like, people want to, their kids to speak to other people the way you speak. Like, it's just like mind-boggling. But anyways, there's got to be. I don't want to get on that.
Yeah, but I do think the best way to do it is, like, you could be the most extreme person ever, but you don't have to present yourself like your idea is the only thing that matters. And if you don't have like legitimate facts and experience to back it up, you're not going to convert people to thinking the way that. And if you're in the middle, people can detect bullshit when you're saying it.
But that's the scariest thing, though, is like, it's not scary. I guess it's sad. Is like, you just told me those two examples of like someone essentially qualifying themselves
based on bullshit. Yeah.
Regardless, like my thing in it, I've filtered out a lot of things that I shouldn't have, that I saved me from having to be around, wasting my time with, but it's probably also, kept me away from good relationships and learning things, is that, like, and that kind of goes hand in hand with like that guy you meet the first time, and he, like, you're describing, like Trump, like, that's a like defense mechanism. It's like a wall. It's like all these. It's a survival thing. Like for them. Like, correct. Back in the day, like that was like the jester at for the king, or like that was some sort of survival primitive mind thing that allowed them to make friends or get a wife or I don't know what.
I think that is their defense mechanism, because if they actually look, they don't want to think too much, because they don't want to have to ever admit that they've been wrong about something. So their way to do that is to always justify it.
The reason I'm tying that in, though, is I think that in some instances in conversations that we've had in our lives, someone was using that conversation that we met them in. They were using their defense mechanism initially, but that's not really how they always are. And that's maybe not even how they are. So it's kind of like an interesting way to see where it's like, you know, like how someone acts or is as their defense mechanism because like they don't know any better. And so you're like, well, screw this person, or I don't want anything to do with that person, or whatever. And you write them off, or you never are around them again, or you tell people you don't like them, or whatever the case is. But it's like in reality, like you didn't even give them a test drive. You know, like you just had this one instance where they felt intimidated. Like let's use that as an example. Like I come up to you and you're a parachute man.
Yep.
And it's like, my defense mechanism, the best case scenario is I come up to you and I'm like, hey, Ryan, like, I'm so glad to meet you. Like, you're a parachute guy. I've been into it. You know, I've been interested in it for so long. I've watched all your videos and I read about, I do this or do that. Like, you know, you think I can jump with you? Like, you think you can give me a couple of things? You can do this? Can you do that? Whatever. Versus, like, like that would be the intake, like I see life and I want more out of it, versus like the person that for some reason they went down this road and they found that their way of enjoying parachuting is to pat their ego and feed someone bullshit to make them feel better about themselves.
Yeah, that's
whether or not there's good outcome or not.
Yeah. Like the person that would go up to me being like a master parachuter and be like, hey, yeah, I've been interested. I was thinking about doing some parachuting, but I was wondering, you know, like, why do you use 3 overhand triple hitch knots instead of like the over under knots? He's like, you know, because I'm pretty sure that the over unders are better. Well, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You don't even know what you're talking about. So, but it's 100% ego, and it's 100% just want to be right, and it has nothing to do with the topic.
I feel like I don't even run into those people much anymore.
Oh, I know plenty of them. They're so annoying to me.
It's just so weird. Like can you tell me?
I've actually cut them out. A lot of people just don't even talk to them anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if even like I exert this energy where it's like I don't even run into them really anymore. And the ones that like I can think of, it's like it's so extreme that like they even know, you know, like it's like comical that they like if I was around them, they'd be like, oh shit, Zach's around now, I can't be a
Oh yeah, because one of my favorite
idiot.
things in this world is when I meet one of those people and they say something that I know that topic, and they say something outrageous to me. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? No, that's not correct. That's one of my favorite things in this world. And then and then you see them deflate, and you're like, oh, this stupid asshole's
like,
never talked.
Remember Goodwill Hunting?
Gets challenged.
Remember Goodwill Hunting when they're in the bar?
Yes.
That scene when like that asshole with the ponytail is like, oh, blah 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 blah,
yeah.
And then
yeah, he's like the badass scholar.
What's he say? Like,
I can't remember.
How you like my boy or something, and then he does the apples.
Yeah.
You like apples? How you like them apples? I got her number.
Yeah,
that movie's awesome.
Yeah, I pretty much cut those people out of my life, thank God, because they're just like.
Isn't it like so? Then
it's actually a sad existence if you think.
That's what I'm saying. So like, how could we find out if we're at the same place?
But we know we're not at the same place.
No. I'm saying like you and I. Like, how could someone have a conversation and be like? It would be way too big to say like in life or thinking in general or anything, but like to be able to say like, oh, okay, so can you agree with me that like when you are engaged with another human, like you're hoping to give them something just as much as you're hoping that you get something from them. Like it's like to be able to see the most clear thing you could see when you can like feel that way and think like it's not like you're going into an event with the intentions of getting something. That's not the point. Yeah. The point is that like I don't know how, but you somehow for some reason have something that can help me.
Well, you should probably.
And I have that too.
You shouldn't go into those. You shouldn't have to go. You're like a lot of people go into those situations like they're trying to win.
But that's what I'm saying. So like, how could two people be like, all right, well then, like, yeah, you and I are in the same place right now, like.
Yeah, it's called go into a conversation with the intentions of maybe being able to change your mind about something. Like you should
change your own mind.
Yeah, because if you do that, you should be able to present what your ideas are, and then you should also qualify them, which I say all the time. It's like my new motto. If you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you probably shouldn't have that strong of an opinion about it. So, like, if you can have an idea or an inclination or an instinct about something, but if you don't really know what you're talking about, I don't know why you're getting so mad about it. You know, it's like all this stuff we always talk about. Like earlier I was saying, I don't know enough about macroeconomics to really have an opinion. I just have, like, what I initially think when I see it on its face. And then people are getting arguments over it, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about in the first place.
Yeah, because they read some FAQs on Robinhood.
Correct. It's like you don't know, but you're going to yell at me over it and get like we're not going to be friends anymore.
But that's the thing, though. Like, so it goes back along the lines of like the people who got the adjustable rate mortgages back before the fail. It's like, what a shame that somehow, like, remember, like, our first podcast we ever did, we were talking about, like,
unreleased,
these universities, where it's like you go to, like, a university school and, like, learn, like, how to feel a part of life. You know, like, you would go to school and, like, learn that, like, well, if you did become a YouTube phenomenon or worker, like, that it's not all, you know, roses.
Uh-huh.
And, like, it kind of goes along to that, like, how the frig do you get into your, like, I guess we'll put a stamp on 30 years old. Like, how the hell do you get to 30 years old and not have that, like, realization and not, like, live that life?
Oh. I mean,
you know what I mean? Though, like,
it's that hard.
No, but I'm saying though, like, it goes along like the inflatable mortgages. It's like, who's it on? It's not my fault. It's not society's fault. It's not the bank's fault. Like that is called like that's called like mental strength building. Like, if you put it in a category where you picked a class, like,
yeah, I think it's pretty simple. It's like if you do something, you're responsible for the outcome. So they're responsible for losing their house; they lose their credit. The bank's responsible for what they did and the outcome that is, which is you now no longer have any money. And
well, so then how do you explain the other part, the people?
Which people?
The people part, where it's like these people have been living their whole lives.
Because these people, this is like their first house they grew
up.
No,
not the mortgages. I'm saying I was relating that to, like,
how do you go?
Someone lives 30 years of their life and never learns, like, how to communicate. Like,
I think because a lot of people surround themselves with the people that they agree with, always. So then they never have to worry about those things. So if you think about it, our societies are like super, super segregated naturally. I mean, just we live and hang out and deal with people that are pretty much in agreement with us. That's how it typically is. I mean, we don't. Do you have any friends that are like completely the opposite of you? Pretty much all along the same lines. Mm. So that's just the way it is. I mean, it even breaks down to race. I mean, there's still races hang out with their own race still. It's 2020 and we still haven't integrated like that yet.
Right.
Like, I mean, I have black friends and Spanish friends and whatever, but it's not like, you know, we didn't organically become friends. Right. We became friends because we worked together or whatever. It's like they're still, and I guarantee all those black people hang out with mostly black people where they're, you know, their families are still almost 100% black, just like our families are almost 100% white.
Right.
We just don't. It's just a natural human thing to surround yourself with people that completely agree with you. And, so then and also, there's not many people like us that are in the middle. So when you, like, for us, we are more, like, we know people that are super, I don't know if we know anyone that's super left, but we know people that are super right-wing. as far as they agree with every single freaking thing that the right wing says. So if you couple the fact that everyone is very extreme right now, especially, and you say, well, they also surround themselves with people that are essentially like them, well, that means that they pretty much are them because everyone's the same as far as that goes. And they're like you and I, as far as having a little bit varying of opinions about different things, are not common. So essentially, everyone hangs out with exactly themselves, except for like we can't do. Really, we don't do that. We hang out with people that are similar, but they're different because we're like part of a very small percentage of people that have a somewhat mind of our own and
it's
have
almost
independent
a
thought.
secret society.
It is. It's like we have independent thought.
Because think about this: like you get put in a room with one other person. How do you find out if they're like us?
Oh, without like throwing them off. Without like,
you got to at one point jump off the cliff.
Yeah, you got to find the Russian spy, and you're a Russian spy, but you can't tell them you're a Russian spy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's kind of like when you're dealing with a girl for the first time. You know, you give them little hints. You're like, ha 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 ha. You know no, I loved that shirt.
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, thanks, I really like that shirt too. And then you say something like, hey, you should wear that same shirt next time, but maybe like 2 sizes smaller. And then if she's like, that, why would I wear it 2 sizes smaller? Then you're like, because it's cheaper, obviously. And you back off. But if she's like, he, you like belly shirts? Then you'd be like, hell yeah, I like belly shirts. Come on over, I'm free tonight. And then you know where you are. That's what you got to do.
But Russian spy infiltration.
Yeah, the thing is though, is for me is I'm okay with them knowing that the way I am. Because I don't think I throw people off.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like, that's the craziest thing about it. Like, you can be okay, but if you run into the other one, you're gonna create. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a very, very strange thing.
I think the reason that is because typical. They're so used to running into if they don't agree, they run into the exact opposite extreme, and then it's it's not a happy situation anymore. They can't come out of that with a good situation. Where if more people were like empathetic or try to be understanding of other points of views, it wouldn't have to be such a bad experience every time someone disagrees. Like a lot of people do that with me, and then I say something, and they're like, I'm sure immediately they think this guy fucking hates black people or something stupid just because we know what they hear. But I think within a couple minutes they're like, oh, he just doesn't agree with me, but at least he's not a fucking, he's not an asshole about it. And that's the way you actually change people's minds.
Right.
And you better have like information and don't present it like I'm right and you're wrong. Because I'm going to be able to say something. I have some things that I think I know a little bit about and have a little bit of expertise about. And I have opinions based on experiences for those things. But there are people that have similar experiences or similar amounts of experience and similar knowledge that have the exact opposite opinion to me. And there's people that are probably way smarter than me that have those opinions. And if I wanted to debate those people on those topics in front of 1,000 people, they can make me look like an idiot. So you don't go into, it's just, there's a lot of different points of views.
Well, and so I guess then we boil down to this idea that it's like, when you go into a conversation with someone about something that is divided, is your goal to persuade them into your view, or is it to just okay, if I sat down with someone who I mentioned the abortion thing, if I think pro-life, if you put me in a room with someone who's pro-choice, mm-hmm. That's one of the most emotionally charged topics. And so if that's not already a challenge, you put me in this room with this other person, it would be like if you were going to go on a date and you expected to go all the way that first date.
Yep, that's always my expectation.
And so, right, so it'd be like, do you want to go into a conversation that way? Or do you want to go in a conversation organically and like, hey, I understand you're pro-choice. You know that I'm pro-life. Tell me where you're coming from. Tell me where your stance is, what you think, why you feel that way. In worst case scenario for that other person, I leave there going, we can agree to disagree. I mean, you make a point that I find isn't enough to make this a change for our culture, but I do have a better understanding of where you're coming from. Versus the other one where it's like, fuck you! Are you kidding me? You're a killer. You're a baby killer. You know what they're doing there? They're making legs out of those baby, like chicken, and it's like all this stuff, and it's like, what did you do?
You pushed him further, and you pushed some of the people in the middle away.
You created a problem. You just put gasoline on a fire that you were trying to keep smoldered.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's how
and all that is it's self gain. That is
because you feel better about yourself.
It's selfish. It's like you're just like you're doing the pointer finger at your freaking middle of your forehead, like, oh, what did I just do? What did I just do? I reinforced a bad behavior.
Yeah, and it's like that person that maybe wasn't going to be a problem is now going to be like, the a-hole. Now I'm going to go on the offensive against people like that, and I'm going to make it louder.
But they were already so different from you. They were like, you want to arm wrestle, and they would never arm wrestle. Like they're that different. Like they're like, you could do 20 push-ups and they can't even do one. Like, don't try to use what you're strong at against someone who they're not even in the gym. It's like, it just blows my mind. Like,
you said it earlier, it creates a worse enemy.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, like equated to like these people overseas where they say like, we go over and we kill terrorists, but then we just make more because now they see us bombing their house, and the people that weren't already going to try to kill us are now going to try to kill us. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but the idea is like, it's a comparison. It's like a metaphor. Like, okay, so maybe that person that you were just talking to that's like pro-abortion wasn't that loud about it, but now you just riled him up, and now he's going to be super loud about it, and now he's going to try to convert the people in the middle like you were. You
invoked the emotion.
Yeah, you just created an enemy. You just like a population that was otherwise just going to be you were going to disagree with them, but they were going to be quiet. Now is going to try to bomb you.
And maybe that's a generational gap that hasn't been figured out yet. Like maybe we're veering towards the last generation of that mentality where it's like, if I stand out here and be the loudest I can be holding this sign, then I'm going to get people to agree with me. I'm going to get people that like it makes me nervous. Truthfully, like if I could be personal about it, whether they're holding the sheriff's sign or they're holding a cross, like it makes me nervous. Like to observe that, because I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're making me uncomfortable by like dividing us.
Yeah.
It's like I believe in this big thing where it's like a lot of life is unspoken. I had an English teacher in high school, and he always would use this thing where like, I think it came out in like when we were reading The Godfather, but it was like, don't ask a question that you don't want the answer to. Yeah. Like that's a real thing. That is a real thing in life. And he would say like, like, would you ever ask your wife how many men she's been with? Like, that's stupid. Don't do it.
There's no way, because if it's anything other than one, you're going to be pissed.
And it's like it festers the mind, and that's the devil at its finest work. But the point of it, like in the relation to this, is like I'm not looking to drive down US 41 and find out how I really feel, you know?
Correct. Yeah.
And it's like, at what point do we not like realize like, all right, these people have to go out and do this. They like, if they don't do that, they're gonna like blow a school up or something. Like they're that, like that's that kind of, like there's some reason these people have to do that, and that's why they're doing it. But it's not for what makes me uncomfortable. Like that's all I can like try to make sense of is like, because it does, like especially nowadays, it's like some dude that just got fired is gonna drive his car through all you dumbasses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what are you people doing? Like I like what you mean. Get off the road.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
I don't like what you mean, but get off the road. Like it's just
yeah.
It's,
I know.
It's so weird, but and like that's a metaphor. Like we're not just talking about people on the road holding signs, but in general, it's like if you really want me to think about something the way you think about it, do some homework, spend some time, write down some shit, and then come to me like you're trying to get hired. You know, like that's how you like if the Green Party started tomorrow and the Green Party stood for everything that you believed in and you were really strong about it, you have a lot of work ahead of you. You will not only have to set up all your pictures and your ideas and your quotes and your signs and all those kind of things, you have to learn how to tactfully, quickly get your message out on a billboard that it reaches the majority.
Yeah.
You know, like that, like it's almost like we need like the people that make those kind of decisions hang out with like marketing crews.
Oh, I know.
You know, like they need to like figure out like I don't know, but that brought me on a whole nother thought because it's like, well, then at what point are they like just portraying all the things that they like the like dog and pony?
Yeah.
If that was the case.
I mean, as far as that thing goes, like, you know, like I almost think that there's like room right now for a whole nother party. Like, for example, like you could have like, why is there not a party that's like, you know, like have individual responsibility. I'm not your babysitter. You know, like pro police, probably pro fire department, pro military, probably anti-abortion, pro weed. You know, like probably all the naturalistic things, pro like protect the environment. Why is there not a party like that? You know what I mean? It's like, why? I just don't understand. There's no, like, I don't agree with tons of stuff that the Republicans are for as far as going against like destroying nature and doing all that other stuff.
Right? Why?
But
is that?
But I'm also not pro. I can't bring myself
exactly.
So now I have to I have to like put all my wants into a hierarchy and determine which party matches it the most. And it's like, yeah, but okay, so I like the Republicans on these things, but Jesus Christ, they want to burn down the forest to make paper. And then the other side, I'm like, yeah, so I like the fact that they want to have like a cleaner earth and stuff, but they want one policeman in all of Los Angeles. I can't do that either.
So like, think about it. Like, could you work at like Keen Footwear and be a conservative? Could you work for an environmental agency and be a conservative?
But I don't even. Yeah, I mean,
like, could you work?
You could, I guess.
You know, and then on the flip sides, it's like, could you work in a law enforcement department and be a liberal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
yeah. Could you be like a truck driver or like a like a cement pourer and be like a super liberal person? I guess you could, but it'd probably be pretty uncomfortable when conversations came out.
And that's it's like. So now what? I've got to reevaluate. I got to reevaluate the granola bars I eat, the coffee I drink, the shoes I wear.
Did you ever listen to Tulsi Gabbard on Joe Rogan?
I don't know.
She was running for Democrat, and she basically was, she was like, pretty awesome. Like as far as all those things went, she was like kind of down the middle. She's like pro-military because she's in the military, but she had some liberal stuff too that I didn't totally agree with. But she was like a normal human being, and like she was basically telling all the Democrat big wigs that they were like scumbags, essentially, like calling them out for all their stuff. She ended up getting like 0.5% of the vote because the Democrats like kicked her out. But that's like she's almost that person that is like she's so close to not being a Democrat, and she's so close to not being a Republican. She's very close to both. Like that's the type of person that I think like it would almost be nice for like a party like that to really start kicking off. Like the Green Party is not it. The Libertarian Party is always like just.
Is the Green Party really a party?
Yeah, the Green. There's like so many parties, but yeah, the Green Party is a thing.
I
don't even know.
I meant anonymous.
Yeah, like Green Party is like I don't even know if it's like what you'd think of as green. It's not like the green people, but it's like something else. But it's like why at this point why can't we start that? Not us, but like why is there not? Like I said a million times, Trump all he had to do to win was say let's make weed legal. That's it. If he said, let's make weed legal in my next presidency, he's like, if he said, this is ridiculous, it's no worse than alcohol, let's tax it and make it federally legal for recreational use, period, he would have won.
You mean like give a glimpse of like, I'm not just strict conservative, like...
Yeah, he could have been like this. I don't want one Mexican... He could have said like this, and I'm not saying that. He could have said this in the same paragraph. I hate Mexican people. They smell bad, and I don't want them coming in the country, putting a wall up with spikes on it. If you step over, we're going to shoot you in the head. But also, I want to make weed legal. Every friggin' liberal on the planet would still vote for him. Because he wants to make weed legal. And even if he didn't make weed legal, the other person would be forced to say they're going to make weed legal. Yeah. So it's just... but the thing is like, that is what people actually want. They want someone that's like that.
Well, I guess, though, anyone that is actually like that is like, hell no, I will never do that dumbass job. Like,
oh, right. Like, we would.
You have to be a lunatic to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually thought about, like, would I, like, actually like doing something like being, like, a mayor of a small city or something like that? And I would think it would be cool, but except that you can't even really change anything. You know, it's not like you're in charge of making laws and stuff. But I would think, like, I would like to be I want to be like the ruler of all.
I know.
And I would be just like I would like, you know, for the first couple of years, I'd be really cool. Then I'd probably turn into a tyrant. But like, yeah, I just want someone that is reasonable and like isn't tainted by all the bull crap. But the problem is you can't get to that point without being tainted by the bull crap.
Well, because probably in all reality, they got strings on every limb.
Oh, I think everyone does. I think the ones that speak their mind and lose by 1,000,000% is because
I mean, like, it's kind of like, yeah, come out and try. Thanks for trying. But, like, there's, you know, like, almost like one of those, like, yeah, you can apply for this position, but we've been grooming this dude that's been a part-timer. You know, like, whatever the case is. But it's like, they've created an obstacle.
Like that girl Tulsi Gabbard was on with Jocko Willink, and Jocko was like, he's like very middle of the, he doesn't say too much. He doesn't give too many opinions about that stuff. Like even police brutality and stuff, like when they say like, you know, this guy got killed, he's very like tactful in what he says.
To keep popular vote.
He doesn't say, yeah, police are killing people for no reason. He doesn't say that police will never make mistakes. He says like, listen, police have made mistakes. I don't think it's because they're bad people. It's because of this and this and this and this and this. This was probably wrong. This was probably good. But I'm pretty sure as far as everything goes, I'm pretty sure he's voting Trump. Like I think he's a conservative person. But he was on with Tulsi and they were getting along fine. Like it was very close. Like, because those are people that, like, based on what we're talking about, like, listen to the other person's opinion, aren't an a-hole about it, and maybe can change people's minds.
Unfortunately, you know, reality is reality, and I you know, maybe if you switch that out with a male, there would be a somewhat more of a likelihood. But I think to add new way of thought and new genitals, it's kind of.
I would have. I'm telling you, I probably would have voted for her.
I mean, I'm not saying yes or no, but I'm just saying, like, for the majority, you're probably not going to pull that one off. Like,
that's too much.
Yeah, like if it was a dude that was feeling that way, and like, you know, people looked at him. Like, here's my thing. someone that was in the military would be like way obviously better geared to say this, like that was in combat or something. But it's like, wouldn't it be nice to have like a leader that like if you put yourself in the shoes even of like having to be a serve time for your country, that like you would go to battle with, you know what I mean, like you know, like someone that like portrays that, like that's what we should have.
Yeah.
Like we should have, I don't care if they're black, white, woman, whatever, but like I just feel like that would be such a freaking awesome feat to have this person that like, even the way like think of like if you like worked at a place that like the hire manager or like the, you know,
Like a person that actually had your back in situations.
yeah, like someone that like
yeah.
you just look at and you're like even if you're not into like, you know, throwing ninja stars and stuff, like you know, if you're like playing video games and you're pale skin and lanky, like just having someone that like is like a father figure of for lack of better terms, like someone that you would look at and be like, man, if you pick on me, my dad is gonna kick your butt, and or, you know, like that kind of thing. And it's
Yeah.
like that's where we're missing the most. Like, gosh, that would be so like you wouldn't need drafts, you wouldn't need, you know, like
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just gotten so. It's like another one of those things that I look at. And I have no real knowledge of the inner workings of how government works at that level and stuff. But it's like, seems to me that it's got to be so much easier than we're making it seem. Like, you know, it's got to be so much more simple. Like, why does it have to be so free? Why does everything have to be so complicated?
because everything else is so easy.
It's like, just make it, you know, everyone's going crazy about the taxes. Am I just stupid? Can't we just have a tax rate? Like, why do we have all this crazy deductions and all this other stuff? Just have a tax rate. This is how much money you made, period, end of discussion. That's how much money you pay.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Like, what? And I like it's just, to me.
Because unfortunately, the people that are in charge of that are the ones that will lose the most.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's like they're trying to be like, all right, well, how can we do this where it looks like we're all equal, but we're still doing better?
Yeah. And then when people say like progressive tax rate, like, or you know, like the tax rate the way it is now, so like at 50,000 you pay 20%, say, and then from 50 to 70 you pay, you know, 25% or 30% on that 10,000, and they're saying because you make more money you have more money to give back. And I'm thinking, yeah, but that's how percentages work. Like if I make 100,000 and I pay 20%, I just paid 20 grand. If you make 80,000 and you pay 20%, you just paid 40, or you know, 4 or whatever. And it's like all those things, that type of thing. It's always just like, I'm always just, and I don't even know if it would ever work, but I'm just like, I think everything is just like complicated for the sake of being complicated.
See, here's the reality. If it was across the board a standard, right? Taxes could go up 30%, taxes could go down 30%. Eventually, it's all going to wash, and we're going to all be in the same exact spot. If it was across the board, right? If the business that's making multi-millions is taxed the same way that the person who's buying their products is, then it's going to come all the way down the ladder, and eventually they'll adjust the price to meet the customer, and we're back. You know what I mean? Like the number is trivial.
Right, like if everyone's paying 50, then it's
right. It's trivial. It's like, oh, okay, well, now
people are gonna have less money to buy.
Yeah, and it's more money to get the supply. It's more money to pay. You know what I mean? It's like we all let's raise taxes so we can have better roadways and better this and better that. And it's like, well, okay, then why don't we just like let's get it out right now? Like Jeep fenders are going to be 50% off next year. You know, like. Compared to what they are now, in reality, the same exact price.
It's going to it would become a thing where the manufacturers are going to be making less money because their taxes went up.
Correct.
But also the people that are buying things are going to have less money.
And it's a wash.
But they're going to have less money too because they're the people that are buying it have less money because their
I know,
taxes
but when you follow the whole all the way back to wherever this starts, that person should be affected the same exact way. And then that guy goes, I guess we can't sell this for what we used to sell it for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the saddest thing about it. It's like someone has got all the poker chips, like in a movie, and they've got them all in their hand, and they're like, here, you can have one. Yeah. You know, like, you can have one. And it's just like, if we don't fix that, you're never going to fix it.
Have you ever heard of the consumption tax?
No.
So basically it means we don't have any of these other ridiculous tax. You know how like you can like go to this webpage and it'll tell you like how many times $1 is taxed.
Yeah.
Like it's taxed when I make it. Then the corporation that paid me had to pay double tax on it. So it's already been taxed 3 times. Then I go back to a business and I give them something or I buy something with it, got taxed again. And then they get taxed on that dollar for income because they just made that dollar. And it's been taxed like 30 gosh darn times by the time it gets to the end of it. But the consumption tax is literally, there is no income tax. There is no all these other taxes, federal taxes. The only tax is sales tax. And it goes from like 7% to like 20%. But it's only on things like cars and, you know, like maybe, you know, non-essential things. So you don't pay taxes on groceries. You don't pay taxes on garbage bags. And you don't pay taxes on like essentials. You don't pay taxes on your electricity and all that other stuff. The only thing you pay taxes on, like, so instead of when you go buy a car, it's only a 6% tax. Now it's a 25% tax. So you don't have to spend, and there's no taxes on income from stocks and bonds and all that other stuff. And basically it's saying like, this is your money. You don't have to buy things and you don't have to pay taxes unless you want to buy a car. And if you buy a car, your taxes are going to be $20,000. But you shouldn't have to do that very often. So it gives you control of your own money. And it doesn't allow for like the same money to be taxed 70 goddamn times before it gets back to the Federal Reserve, which I don't even know what the Federal Reserve is. I don't know if it's a building or what. But but it's like the thing is, it's like you have your money. So after you buy your house and after you buy your car, you don't have to spend taxes on anything unless you want to. Unless you want to. I think it's kind of a cool idea because it is kind of crazy the way it's set up right now. It kind of what's that word?
Disadvantage.
No, it kind of like makes you not want to do things like why would I want to make the extra 50 grand because I'm going to be taxed 60% on that money? Why would I even put the effort in? I'm going to have to put another, you know, like 3 months of work in to do this, and I'm going to get taxed. I'm only going to make half of it. I'm just going to take the rest of the year off. I don't care that much. We don't have to deal with that obviously because we make $4 grand a year, but.
Well, the funniest thing is like you talk about taxing a dollar. It's like the thing that always hits me right in the keister. It's like used cars.
Oh, like I have to pay taxes on a used car again.
And here's the thing though, right?
I'm looking up how many times.
Listen, this is how you know how unsupportedly unconstitutional it is to pay taxes on a used car. You want to know?
Go ahead.
You want to know why? Because you put the fucking amount you paid for it on it yourself.
Yeah, I know.
You literally go, oh shit, I paid 12 grand for this fucker. I gotta pay 7% of that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you lie.
Yes. Either you commit a felony or you just pay your taxes.
It's the fucking dumbest
Here's
thing.
my question.
I've seen...
Why? So let me get this straight. Okay, you're going to make me pay taxes on a car when I buy it. I now get it, and I want to sell it to my son. What have you done that is relative to the price of the car that you feel you deserve more money for. Okay, so I have a Ferrari 360, and I want to sell it to my son. I already paid $60,000 in taxes on it when I purchased the vehicle. Now I want to sell it to my neighbor, and I want to sell it for $100,000. And now you charge me another $20,000 in taxes and registration fees.
The other guy.
But my neighbor, he's gonna, in order to get my Ferrari, he's gonna sell his car that's worth $5,000. You do the exact same paperwork. Everything takes exactly the same amount of time, 30 seconds, and you charge him $12 for insurance or for registration and taxes. What have you done different? Just charge me $10 to do the registration paperwork.
It's a hoax.
It's crazy. How about Florida? When you move to Florida and you want to register your car for the first time, it's like $500. What are you talking about?
Title fee.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, because we're gonna title it here.
To transfer your title.
It takes you 3 minutes.
Not just when you move. It's when you
any new car.
Yeah,
I know. And it's, you know what? You know why they do that? I have a sneaky suspicion.
Yeah, because they don't have income tax.
Yeah, because they don't have income tax, and they know everyone's moving here and is going to bring their titled vehicles here. Yeah. And they're like, this is the easiest way to get more money.
No, I found
6 times.
I found to like that.
It says, so even at the basic level, you can be taxed up to 6 times on a dollar earned and spent the normal way. 6 times. So when you earn $1 from work and you spend it, you've been taxed 6 times on that.
But, gosh, the car thing. It's like, at least let's make it, let's agree to make it a real thing. Let's go off of a book that says the value of the vehicle. If you're going to hold me to a you know what I mean? Like, don't give me the opportunity to lie.
Oh, you're saying just do fair market value?
If it was a real thing, if it was a real constitutional thing, there would be a standard.
Right.
There would be a mandate. It wouldn't be like, so here's a dilemma. You buy a 1969 Corvette. It takes you 3 fucking trailer loads to get that car in your garage.
Because it's in pieces.
Because it's a rusted piece of dog shit.
Yeah.
Do you think at any point in the whole process of registering that vehicle, someone sits down with you and says, oh, well, you wrote on here that you bought it for $2,000. The car's worth $120,000. What did you do to it? What do you have photographs of it when you first got it to prove that it was in boxes?
Yeah.
It's a fucking scam. Like, you know what I heard in the boating world? Oh, when you do registration, the motor doesn't count. Oh, you got a tower on it? You bought that boat with a tower and an outboard? Subtract that from the value. You only are paying taxes on the hull.
Oh, good. Then my boat is negative $3,000.
And I mean, think about it. You buy a car with 400,000 miles on it. Like, are you paying like, it's the boat thing almost made sense.
Almost.
But it's like, we never went to school. There was never a class. DMV never had you do a multiple choice before you registered your vehicle. You didn't know. You don't know. They're winning on the unspoken. They're winning by like, yeah, sure, we get a whole bunch of people that are putting $500 on a $10,000 car, and there's nothing we can really do. But we're getting enough of these dumbasses that actually put what they paid for, and we're getting taxes. Oh, look, that car sold. This is the 5th time someone's registered this vehicle as a new vehicle.
Yeah. And it's like, who cares? It's like, so what? I paid, this person lied and they gave us $50. We still made $50 for doing goddamn nothing. It's like they're still in the
But that poor bastard. That poor bastard may have to think about that the rest of his life.
I know. I'm going to think if I ever do it again, I'm going to make 2 contracts. It's going to be like, I am purchasing this Jeep from you for $300. And then I'm going to have a separate contract that says, I'm giving you a gift of $10,500 that's refundable if I want to return this Jeep to you. But but I'm not purchasing the Jeep with this $10,000.
Well, and that brings me to my other thing. Like, what? My parents did a title transfer as a gift from my mom's mom. And it was like they didn't have to pay the tax type stuff. What's involved in that? Like,
I think it's going to be family. Got to be a family gift.
I don't think so. I think
No?
you can gift something to someone. But, like, here's my thing. Like,
I'm giving you $10,000 to give me a gift.
yeah, no, but like this. Like, hey, you want 10 grand for that? Well, I'll give you 10 grand if you gift it to me.
yeah, I'm buying.
Otherwise, I'll give you 8.
I'm buying the process of getting a gift here. I'm not buying a car. I'm buying a gift.
Well, if you're gonna sell me the car, I'll give you 8 grand.
If you're gonna gift me the car, I'll give you 8 grand for it. No, not even for it. Yeah, I'll give you 8 grand if you give me that as a gift.
You know, though, like, so then is that not like, are we the idiots?
And yeah, and by the way,
hear me out though. Are we the idiots? Like, is that you're not against the law?
I don't know. It probably is. They probably made a law because people were doing it.
But so, like, if I was like, hey, Ryan, I want to buy your car. I see you advertised it for 10 grand. Yeah, you know, I'd move a little bit. All right, well, would you take 9? Yeah, I'll take 9. All right, well, I'll give you 85 if you gift it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, as a seller, you're like, yeah, I'll do, you know, like.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something written, of course, but yeah, I agree with you. I'm ordering a multi-pack of Zevia right now before I forget.
What's that?
It's soda with stevia.
Are you like full Amazon?
I pretty much only buy things off Amazon.
You're ordering soda?
It's fake soda.
For what reason?
Because they don't sell it in the stores.
Why do you like it? Or have you had it?
Oh, I love it.
Just for soda value?
It's not, yeah, because it's like soda, but it's not bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's not an ad. They're not paying us.
Yeah, Zevia, if you ever want to. We were just talking about hippie stuff, Zevia. But yeah, they have like black cherry and it's all clear though. That's the only thing I don't like about it. So like if you pour out a ginger ale, it's clear. If you pour out a root beer, it's clear, but it tastes like ginger ale or root beer. But yeah, I was going to say, by the way, that's like a really shicey way to do it. But screw you, government. I don't care. You guys are the shiestiest of the shiesty.
That's what I mean. Should we fight fire with fire? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, burn City Hall down too.
It's crazy though when you think about that.
Yeah, the problem is with all that stuff. Ooh, your Amazon account. Okay, confirmation. Yeah, here's the thing. Government has gotten so big and so big and so big and involved themselves in our lives so much that they've like literally just can't figure out how to have enough money to continue to expand and do more things.
Here's another topic.
And then we're turning this off.
What?
And then we're done these.
Yeah.
This is a 3 hour, for God's sake.
Last thing. Tied back into the taxes.
Yep.
Why?
Why what?
Why is it like a year ago I could have bought something out of state and not paid taxes on it? And now everything, like, I have stuff on Etsy and they are charging people tax from Maryland.
Oh. Yeah. I remember, like, I don't know how it is now, but I remember, like, some states required you to pay taxes, others didn't.
But think about that. Like, how did we forever not have that? And
but
now
you lived in Florida, so that's why. New York was always that way.
But
every time I bought something in New York, I had to pay taxes on it.
But if you think about it, it's like,
why am I paying taxes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where's that money go? Back to Maryland?
Yeah, I guess they're supposed to. Here's the worst part of it all. These businesses are not claiming those as taxes. You're just giving them extra money.
Yeah.
They're not, I mean, unless they're a legit company that they like get audited and stuff. You think they're telling Maryland that they made 7% off me? They don't. They get the money.
So the consumer loses.
Of course they do. That's how taxes are a joke.
But like, if that's not an eye-opening thing, that's like, I need to find someone who like did a book or podcast about like.
Maybe we'll have one of the We'll have a famous financial advisor come on our show next week. I'll look him up. I'll go to the local bank and get a bank teller over here. They can explain everything.
Unfortunately, we're at about 3 hours, and no one's going to make it past 30 seconds.
Hopefully someone just skips to the end and says, this is 3 hours? Let me skip to the end and see if these idiots are still talking.
Right now, I want to know about that. I want to know why. While I was saying it, I was thinking, okay, Amazon. Well, Amazon had to put a warehouse in every freaking state.
Right.
So that's how they got it, right?
That's how they got what?
That's how they justified taxing. Because it wasn't long ago on Amazon, you would not have to pay taxes.
Well, they don't. The governments must have said, hey, you got to pay taxes.
That's what I mean, though. It wasn't that long ago.
They must have changed the laws in a lot of these states.
They did.
Yeah. Because they realized they were getting screwed on the freaking consumer tax. Yeah, I know.
But, so for instance, real life, in my life, I had a website, and there was a box. You could check tax or not tax.
What? How many people hit tax?
No. I could hit that, and that would be in the listing. So if I didn't check it, you didn't pay tax.
And ipso facto, neither did you.
And then that's the way the taxes work is if you don't make X amount of dollars, then you don't have to claim it. Then you don't file. Small business wise. If you had an Etsy...
Well, if you don't have income, you don't have income tax.
No. So if you had an Etsy store where you sold face masks, and I don't remember what the number is, but it's relatively high. If you don't sell and make that much money...
Okay. So let's say you make under $1 per mask.
No, I mean net. So by the end of the year, let's say it's $25,000. If you make under $25,000, then you're not required to show your taxes.
So you can make $25,000.
I don't know the number, and
tax.
I'm not speaking from professional,
but tax free.
Right, but I'm saying essentially the IRS, because I had a friend that made it a couple times. The IRS will send you the form saying we need the documents on your business because you reached this amount of sales.
How would they know that you reached that amount of sales? When you do your income taxes?
So he would use Etsy or eBay.
And print out the statement?
Well, no. So the IRS knew because it went through them.
So Etsy sent his information?
Etsy and eBay.
Get out of our lives, IRS.
But that's what I mean. They had to. It must have been part of this ruling that went through.
Yeah.
And so now, you receive this. So my point is, though, if I wanted to be a genius, if I had real motivation to make every dollar and not give it to the government, I start up these businesses, and each business does $25,000 a year, and I charge the customer taxes. I just sold, my face mask that I normally sold for $1. I just got $1.28 times, a million of them. Or it couldn't be a million, but 24,000 of them. Uh-huh. And you just made all that you made 28 cents on every customer because they paid taxes that you didn't even...
all you got to do is you don't even have to change the website. You just change the company that's fulfilling the orders.
Right.
That's it. And you take no profit.
Right. So then you switch to another company. Hey, Joe Schmo's face
Which doesn't
mask.
have to be registered or anything, right? So you could just say, oh, yeah, the first 24,000 was made with,
Yeah, we sold it through Joe Schmo. And then the next one
but there doesn't have to be
registered
registered names. There doesn't have to be trademarks or anything. No. You could just say, no, the first ones I got through this.
Right.
And then my other company, I sold through this.
Yeah, you would go in and change your so what most of these people do with small businesses is they just run their social number. So they'll have Philips face masks, but they don't get an EIN, which is a number that's
right.
Like a social for the business. They just use their own social.
Right.
So
then I would switch to my social.
So I would just be like, oh, we're coming up on 24,000. We got to switch over to yours.
And then we don't even have to change anything. We just report it as, no, that was my company.
Right. And then in the meantime, I would have only made 20 grand.
You want to hear the really crazy thing about it? Is think about how, this is what companies actually do this type of stuff.
This is what the huge companies
Listen to this idea. Ready? Okay, so let's say the company does make 50 grand. You make $50,000 in profit. But now we want to switch it up and I want to sell it through my company. Well, now your company takes a hit, quote unquote,
buying it.
Because you buy all these masks and you give those masks to me. Now you just lost all the money you took to purchase those. So now you didn't make 50 grand because you just purchased all those masks. So now you're back to 25 grand in profit. And you give me the masks. I sell those and make another 25. Now we made 75 grand instead of.
Yeah.
And we don't have to pay taxes. Because you just say, oh yeah, I sold $50,000, but I also had to spend $50,000 because then you bought those masks and traded them to my company. So you're even.
Right.
And now I have free masks that I sell.
You could just have a warehouse full of masks.
Yeah.
You bought them under the company to show a loss.
Yeah. And then you give it to all these other companies and they sell them at a low tax rate. Which people do, obviously. We're not geniuses and we just thought of it. I'm sure we'd be violating some kind of crazy law because there's a law for every single thing. But I know companies do that.
Yeah.
That's probably, now that I think about it, that's why they do that. Because they have all these small companies that sell, like just to that limit before the tax rate goes up. And then they move on to the next one and they change it. And it's like in the background too. So like you could have a website, everything remains the same. But then when tax time comes, you're like, oh, no, those were fulfilled by this company. See, there's a different title at the top of that piece of paper. And you can just keep doing it. And you don't even have to have a registered company. I could just say it's a different company. I own 17 companies, and each one's different. Mm-hmm. Or, you like use yourself, then your wife, then your dad, then your mom, then me, then whoever, then the homeless guy down the street. And you tell the homeless guy, I'll give you $50. Like, that's all you have to do. We're geniuses. We also give business classes. Okay, we're getting off.
The end.
Suck it. Bye-bye. I wonder how that sounds. Right now, how it sounds. This one I'm